Chapter 202. 2 days later, at night, Tianyuan Bridge Night Market. The rental carriage stopped in front of the high memorial arch outside Tianyuan Bridge Night Market. The coachman jumped off the carriage and opened the door for the passenger with a humble and flattering smile. "Dear guest, we've arrived at Tianyuan Bridge Night Market." As the door of the rental carriage opened, Xiao Pingan, who was wearing a decent black robe, a close-fitting silk vest, a snow-white shirt, and a silk-top hat, got off the carriage elegantly. After glancing at the night market of Tianyuan Bridge, which was ablaze with lights, he revealed a smile before throwing a few silver coins to the coachman. "Keep the change, thank you, sir." The coachman smiled even more fervently. At the same time, he secretly admired his foresight. Looking at this passenger's clothes, he knew that this passenger was indeed not short of money. He was so generous. "Sir, do you need me to wait for you here?" "No need, I want to walk around," Xiao Pingan said. "Okay, take care, dear guest." After the coachman finished his words, someone came out of the night market and waved towards here. The coachman then got on the carriage and drove it over there. When he came to Tianyuan Bridge Night Market once again, Xiao Pingan became a bit excited at the sight of the surging crowd in the night market. The last time he came to the Tianyuan Bridge Night Market, he didn't have much money in his pocket. His mood was dampened, and he caused trouble. He didn't walk around the night market much. Today, he came here again. Xiao Pingan wanted to walk around again and sweep the place clean. The moment he thought about those realm pearls in the night market, Xiao Pingan's heart became pounding. This was the biggest advantage of Shangjing City. As resources from all over the world gathered here, as long as one had enough money, one could buy a lot of realm pearls here to improve one's strength. Realm pearls that were rarely seen in other places could be exchanged for with the most mundane items here. For Xiao Pingan, coming to the night market once again, he felt like having 100,000 strings of cash and riding a crane to Yangzhou. Right now, Xiao Pingan was already thinking about how to get a job in Shangjing City that could earn money. The Dark Shadow Squad of the Judgment Army could earn money quickly, but it was not easy to make contributions in the Dark Shadow Squad. Furthermore, he was always working with his head on the line. If he had a job that could earn money for a long time, he would not just sit around and eat. In the future, he would not have to worry about this realm pearl. Over the past 2 days, Xiao Pingan mainly stayed in his courtyard. As he monitored that elder of Tang clan with the help of the Boy of Blessing, he thought about making money. Occasionally, he would go shopping outside and buy something. Xiao Pingan originally thought that he could see and hear what the Boy of Blessing saw and heard at any time. However, over the past 2 days, he slowly realized that what he could see and hear was not up to him at all. It seemed that it was up to the Boy of Blessing to decide. Although the Boy of Blessing was his summoned creature and had a faint telepathic connection with him, that little guy was very naughty and could not be commanded at all. Xiao Pingan only felt that the little guy was staring at that elder of Tang clan, but the image in his mind would only appear occasionally. At first, Xiao Pingan felt a little uncomfortable. However, soon, Xiao Pingan felt that it was quite good. If the images of other people's lives appeared in his mind at all times, and he even stared at that elder of Tang clan going to the toilet and picking his toes, that would be too disgusting. He might even suffer from schizophrenia. That little guy was very clear about what information was important. Therefore, the information it sent back was not useless. For example, on the first day, that elder of Tang clan stayed in the guild hall for the whole day. He just sat in his room and read a book. That little guy only sent back a few images at intervals so that Xiao Pingan could roughly know what that elder of Tang clan was doing, what kind of books he was reading, and what kind of food he was eating. During the day, the elder of Tang clan went out in a carriage again. That little guy followed him all the way and directly he sat on the head of the elder of Tang clan, participating in all the activities. Xiao Pingan saw that the elder of Tang clan went to an auction house, a newspaper office, and a trading company in Shangjing City. He visited several people who had business dealings with Tang clan and had 2 meals. Through the Boy of Blessing, Xiao Pingan saw all the scenes of the meeting between the elder of Tang clan and those people. He found that the 2 sides were just discussing some business cooperation matters. There was also a pure relationship between them. There was nothing unusual. Tonight, the elder of Tang clan returned to the guild hall to rest again. That little guy did not send any more images. Xiaopingan came to the Tianyuan Bridge night market. The Tianyuan Bridge night market was as lively as last time. However, there were some differences. Today, there seemed to be a little more policemen here than last time. Those policemen were all wearing police uniforms. Each of their eyes swept over the people coming and going in the night market. They seemed to be quite vigilant, as if they were looking for someone. Xiaopingan had not walked far in the night market when two policemen came over to ask, "Mister, have you seen these people before?" The fat policeman who asked the question took out a wanted poster as he spoke. Xiaopingan looked at it carefully. F***CK. The first person on the wanted poster was Xiaopingan himself. The top of the wanted poster was not a photo, but a portrait of Xiaopingan. The portrait was 90% similar to Xiaopingan, and Xiaopingan's name was on the list. When he first rented the apartment, he had left his real name. As long as he found the landlord, it would not be difficult for the police to find his name. Apart from himself, there were two other people on the wanted poster. The other two wanted people were the two Sun summoners who had brought people to the apartment to ambush him that night. Those two people were bounty hunters. One was called Pang Tong, and the other was called Deng Xiaohua. He did not expect them to be wanted as well. Looking at his portrait, Xiaopingan's expression did not change. Instead, he asked curiously, "Are these people in cahoots? What do they do?" "Yes, these people are in cahoots." The policeman probably did not understand what was going on. He only nodded his head mechanically and replied in a serious manner, "These people are related to a very vicious murder case. If you can provide useful clues to the police, you can get a reward of 10,000 gold coins from the victim's family." Wow, 10,000 gold coins, this is not a small amount. I think if I could see these people, I would definitely not miss this opportunity to make money. You can keep this wanted poster. If you find anything, you can contact us. The policeman was like a person who was advertising on the street. He directly handed the wanted poster to Xiaopingan. After chatting with the policeman for a while, Xiaopingan left. At the same time, Xiaopingan also knew that Sun Hao's disappearance should have been discovered by the Sun family. After 3 days, no matter how slow the Sun family was, they would have reacted. If Sun Hao was kidnapped and Sun Hao is still alive, then Sun Hao had been missing for 3 days. The kidnappers would have at least contacted the Sun family to ask for a ransom. In these 3 days, the Sun family did not receive any news. There was no news of Sun Hao, so the possibility of Sun Hao meeting with an accident was very obvious. Sun Hao's uncle was one of the higher-ups of the Shangjing police, so it was not surprising that the wanted poster came out so quickly. What surprised Xiaopingan was that he did not expect the two bounty hunters hired by Sun Hao that night to also be wanted. Bounty hunters were all people who licked blood on the blade. That night, Sun Hao and them parted on bad terms, and in the end, they were at daggers drawn. The Sun family naturally had reason to suspect that they would take revenge on Sun Hao. Bounty hunters who were forced to the point of not being able to get paid harbored resentment and could do anything. They deserved it. Thinking of the faces of the two wanted bounty hunters at this moment, Xiaopingan's mood was as comfortable as eating iced bayberries in the hottest days of the summer. He almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. Those guys were really unlucky. First, they schemed against him and caused him to suffer a double loss. Not to mention that they were cheated by Sun Hao and sold their lives for money. In the end, they were actually wanted by the Sun family and became wanted criminals in the Shang dynasty. The first time Sun Hao saw him was at the Tianyuan Bridge night market. At the same time, this was the favorite place of the bounty hunters, so the police came here to look for clues. His portrait was quite handsome. Xiaopingan glanced at his portrait and muttered in his heart. He folded the wanted poster and put it in his jacket pocket. The night market was still lively and bustling with people. Soon, Xiaopingan was attracted by the realm beads sold on the street. His entire body was moved and his eyes lit up. He was ready for a big fight. Assassin realm bead. There is an assassin realm bead here. A voice from a nearby stall attracted Xiaopingan's attention. Assassin realm bead? What kind of realm bead is this? Hearing this voice, Xiaopingan directly walked over and squeezed into a stall on the street. The owner of that stall was a woman in her 20s with a sharp face and a bunch of small braids. That woman was wearing short leather armor, and a short knife hanging on her waist. She didn't look like someone to be trifled with. On that woman's stall, there was only a realm bead emitting a faint red light. Xiao Pingan looked at that realm bead and saw a line of golden characters in Xiaozhuan flickering in and out of the realm bead. Tianguang, Luinyong. Xiao Pingan was too familiar with this story. Jing Ku was a talent discovered by Tianguang. Tianguang was an amazing person. His vision for people was unquestionable. What a pity. This realm bead could summon assassins. However, it could only summon beginner assassins. A person on the side looked at that realm bead and shook his head regretfully. What's so pitiful about it? Beginner assassins are already very powerful. They could kill people without leaving a trace. Additionally, if one could get the realm bead, the beginner assassins could also level up. The higher they level up, the more powerful they would be. Additionally, this realm bead wouldn't pose any danger to their lives. Even without the assistance of immortal crystals, the success rate would still be 25%. It costs 1,100 gold coins. It's too expensive. That person who shook his head regretfully added. Of course, this realm bead wouldn't pose any danger to one's life, even if the fusion failed. Of course, it's expensive. Seeing the onlookers gossiping, the woman selling the realm beads grew impatient. She waved her hand and said, "If you want to buy it, then buy it. If you don't want to buy it, then scram. Don't stop me from doing business." Chapter 203. The woman who sold the realm bead was very shrewish and not to be trifled with. The two people in front of the stall seemed to be trainee summoners who had just arrived in Shangjing City. Therefore, they didn't quarrel with the woman. After muttering a few words, they left. 1,100 gold coins were easy to say. However, the realm beads of Boy of Fortune and Bianc that Xia Pingan exchanged last time were only worth about 500 gold coins in total. 1,100 gold coins was a little expensive among the realm beads. It could buy 3 or 4 ordinary realm beads. Even in Shangjing City, 1,100 gold coins could buy a house. This was the price of realm beads. Those realm beads that had a relatively high success rate, had summoning slots, and would not die even if the fusion failed, were often sold at a very high price. This type of realm bead was very popular. There was no lack of rich and powerful summoners in Shangjing City. For those summoners, this realm bead was their favorite. What are you doing here? Do you want to buy it? If not, hurry up and leave. The woman threw a glance at Xia Pingan. Seeing that Xia Pingan was decently dressed and looked rich, her tone eased a bit. Xia Pingan revealed a smile. "Miss, of course I want to buy it. I sincerely want to buy it. However, this price is indeed a bit expensive. Can you make it cheaper?" Hearing that Xia Pingan wanted to buy it, the woman became a bit spirited. She glanced at Xia Pingan from head to toe. "Okay, I will give you 20 gold coins cheaper. Don't lower it by 20 gold coins. I can see that you're a straightforward person. Miss, your price for this realm pearl should be around 1,000 gold coins. Take away the 100 gold coins, and I'll buy it for 1,000 gold coins." 1,000 gold coins wasn't a small amount for Xia Pingan, but this realm pearl could summon an assassin. Not only could the assassin appear and disappear unpredictably, but the assassin could also continuously fuse with other realm pearls to increase its own strength. Xia Pingan felt that this realm pearl would be of great use, so he wasn't stingy with the 1,000 gold coins. Sure enough, after hearing Xia Pingan's words, the woman's eyes lit up. "Can you pay now? Or do you want me to seal the bead and wait for you? If it's a sealed pearl, it won't be at this price." Sealing beads was also one of the rules of selling realm beads in this night market. If someone took a fancy to a certain realm bead, but didn't have enough money, they could discuss with the seller and ask the seller to seal the realm bead for a few days until they had enough money to buy it. If the realm bead was sealed, the buyer would pay a deposit first. Then, the seller would not take out the realm bead to display or trade it to others during the agreed-upon date. Because the buyer and the seller were not familiar with each other, and it was a large transaction, sealing the beads would involve the integrity of the transaction. Therefore, the security bank in a night market was born. As long as the buyer paid a small fee, the security bank would guarantee the sealing of the beads. The seller would deposit the beads in the security bank. When the time came, the seller could take out the beads and sell them. If the buyer broke his promise, he would bear the corresponding loss. I'll give you the gold notes. We could trade now. Fine, I'll sell it to you for 1,000 gold coins. That woman said straightforwardly. Xiao Pingan directly took out a gold note of 1,000 gold coins from his portable equipment and gave it to that woman. After checking the gold note and finding it was fine, she passed that Tian Guanglun Yong realm bead to Xiao Pingan. After finishing the trade, both parties parted ways. 2 days ago, Xiao Pingan still felt that his net worth of around 10,000 gold coins should be spent. He didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, he would obtain an assassin's realm pearl, and his net worth would shrink by a tenth. As Xiao Pingan walked in the night market, he glanced at the realm pearls on the street. There were many realm pearls on the stalls in the night market, and many of them were fused by Xiao Pingan before. He had just spent a large sum of money, so if he were to buy more realm pearls, Xiao Pingan would find those cheap realm pearls to buy. Very soon, Xiao Pingan spent over 700 gold coins to buy 4 realm beads from several stalls. Among the 4 realm beads, 2 were divine force realm beads. One of them was written with Su Gao in Xiaozhuan, while the other was written with Xiao Pumin in Xiaozhuan. These 2 divine force realm beads would only increase one's divine force after successful integration. The death rate of failure was very high, especially the latter one. Therefore, the price of these 2 realm beads was relatively cheap. The total price of these 2 realm beads was just over 200 gold coins. In addition to these 2 realm beads, there were also 2 realm beads with summoning spell slots. One realm bead had the word Go Long written on it, and the other realm bead had the word Tang Jian engraved on it. It was said that successfully fusing the realm bead Go Long would allow one to master Earth-type summoning spells, while the realm bead Tang Jian could give the summon character a buff spell, greatly increasing the summon character's combat power. These 2 realm beads might even die if they failed to fuse, so they weren't expensive. After making 1 round in the night market, he spent 1,700 gold coins in the blink of an eye. Xiao Pingan's wealth shrank by 1/6 in an instant. He was indeed spending money like water. However, Xiao Pingan did not stop. He continued to shop in the night market, preparing to buy a few more realm beads. Xiao Pingan calculated that with his remaining assets, he should be able to reach the Two Sun realm if he used them sparingly. The Two Sun realm required an additional 630 divine force points to break through, and the Two Sun realm required an additional 840 divine force points to break through. In order to break through to the Two Sun realm, the upper limit of his secret mandala would have to exceed 1,470 divine force points. Xiao Pingan strolled around the night market while muttering and thinking in his heart. He still had to find a profitable business, otherwise his little bit of money would not be enough to spend. As for a profitable business, it was not easy to earn the money of the poor. It was best to earn the money of the rich. They were the most rich people in the capital, and what consumption habits did this group have? Everyone wanted to live a long and healthy life, not just the rich. He could summon Hua Ta'a and a first-class pharmacist, so he should have some competitiveness. However, this competitiveness was not the core competitiveness. What he had, others had as well. Therefore, it was not realistic to rely on this to earn a lot of money. Other than that, what else did the rich care about? Naturally, it was how to continue living a luxurious life and continue for generations to come. This was a little broad, but it should be a starting point. Double versus evil business was the fastest way to earn money. However, people like Sun Hao could only be found by chance. He was just a small one-sun summoner. In a place like Shangjing City, where there were crouching tigers and hidden dragons, he would be tired of living if he wanted to do a double versus evil business. Xiao Pingan strolled in the night market and unknowingly arrived at a bustling area. There was a 4-story loft by the street. The loft was brightly lit, and the wind chimes on the loft were tinkling in the night wind like music. Outside the loft was a courtyard connected to the night market. There was a waterside corridor in the courtyard, and it was rather serene. Outside the courtyard was a small plaza. Dozens of luxurious black 4-wheeled carriages were parked in the small plaza as though they were queuing up. Just as Xiao Pingan was sizing up the loft, A noblewoman wearing a dark green velvet cloak and a black veil hat to cover her face walked down from the loft under the escort of a guard and a maidservant. She passed through the winding waterside corridor and came out of the side door of the courtyard. She boarded a black four-wheeled carriage and left immediately. In the next second, a spirited 12 or 13-year-old youth dressed in green robes walked out from the loft. He crossed the courtyard and arrived at the plaza outside. Without a change in his expression, he announced loudly, "Those who have obtained number 8, please head to Carefree Restaurant." Hearing this, the door of a carriage pulled by 2 pure white horses in the small plaza opened, and a pot-bellied middle-aged man alighted from the carriage. "Boss Sue, you've also come to Carefree Building?" The window of a carriage opened, revealing a gentle-looking middle-aged man in glasses who greeted the man alighting from the carriage. "Recently, I've had a strange dream. That dream has been churning in my head. I've finally gotten someone to queue up a number plate. I'd like Master Shueyue to decipher it and see if it's auspicious or inauspicious." That Boss Sue said with a smile. Okay. You go first. I'm number 11. I'll come back later," the middle-aged man in glasses said with a smile. Boss Sue nodded and quickly walked to the front of that youth in green clothes. He respectfully took out a number plate and handed it over. That youth took a look at the number plate and nodded. Then he led that Boss Sue into the courtyard, through the waterside pavilion, and up the building. Many people in those carriages looked at Boss Sue enviously as he ascended the building. Was deciphering someone's dream so extravagant? He actually made so many people wait here. Xiao Pingon looked at those four-wheeled carriages. Damn, none of them were for hire. They were all private carriages. Moreover, they all had coachmen, guards, and maids. They were all rich people in Shangjing City. This was too inconceivable. Seeing an amiable-looking man pass by, Xiao Pingon hurriedly stopped in front of that man and asked, "Brother, may I ask what is this place? Why are there so many people queuing?" That man glanced at Xiao Pingon. Seeing that Xiao Pingon was polite and well-dressed, he patiently said, "This is Carefree Inn. Master Shueyue interprets people's dreams. Master Shueyue is the most famous dream interpreter in Shangjing City. She can use dreams to predict good and bad luck. Don't you know?" Xiao Pingon blinked. Dream interpreter? There was such a profession in Shangjing City. He was ignorant and inexperienced. He really didn't know about it before. "Oh, are those people queuing here to interpret dreams?" "Of course. May I ask, how much does Master Shueyue charge for interpreting dreams?" "Hee, do you think money is enough? You still need to queue. If you queue here at Master Shuyue's place, you'll need 30 gold coins for each number. 30 gold coins for solving a person's dream?" Xiao Pingon looked at the dozens of carriages queuing outside. After calculating in his heart, he was instantly shocked. F***CK. If he did this, wouldn't he be able to earn thousands of gold coins in a single night? Even Dog Eat Dog wouldn't be so profitable. "Ha! Judging from your appearance, you must have just arrived in Shangjing City not long ago. What's 30 gold coins for interpreting dreams?" There are many fortune tellers who charge tens or hundreds of gold coins for a simple divination. Those rich people only believe in this. The person who was questioned by Xiao Pingon looked at Xiao Pingon with disdain. Then, he shook his head and left with a sense of superiority. In less than 3 minutes, Xiao Pingon saw Boss Sue, who had just gone upstairs, come down from upstairs and leave in a carriage. 30 gold coins in such a short time? That arrogant servant in green robes shouted from outside again, "Those who have obtained number 9, please come to Carefree Inn." The door of a carriage opened. Then, a lady who didn't want others to see her face, wearing a black veil, had alighted from the carriage with the help of a maidservant. Then, she walked into the courtyard with that servant in green robes and passed through the waterside corridor. I wonder how good is that Master Shuyue's dream interpretation skills are? Xiao Pingon thought to himself. With a thought, he used his remote vision ability to follow that lady and her maidservant into Carefree Inn. The interior of Carefree Inn was grand and majestic. There was also a sense of elegance and incense in the building. After entering the building, The maid beside the woman who had entered the building remained in the small hall outside. Only the woman wearing a veil was led by a green-clothed manservant through a door and a beaded curtain, and then came to the inner room. An old man in a white robe was sitting behind a tea table. The old man looked pretty good with white hair and a white beard. However, when Xiao Pingan saw him, he felt that the old man was too delicate and deliberate. He seemed to lack the true demeanor of an expert. The lady who entered took off her hat and revealed her original face. She was a lady in her 40s who still retained her charm. That lady sat opposite the old man and said worriedly, "Master Shuiwei, I had a dream the day before yesterday. In the dream, I dreamt that I was at home. Suddenly, someone sent a lot of cloth and silk to my house, saying that they wanted to make clothes for me. What is this sign? Is my husband keeping concubines outside again?" Chapter 204. The woman dreamt that someone was sending cloth to her home, so she was worried that her husband was going to take another concubine. Interesting. Xiao Pingan used his remote viewing ability to observe from outside. At the same time, he wanted to see how Master Shuiwei interpreted the dream. Under Xiao Pingan's gaze, Master Shuiwei, who was dressed in a white robe, picked up a brush made of gold and white jade from the table and lightly tapped the woman's forehead between her eyebrows. Amidst the faint ripples of divine power, a ball of brilliance lit up between the woman's eyebrows. Soon after, the woman's dream from last night appeared in front of the two people under the cover of a ball of fog, like a flickering shadow in the water. The light seemed real and illusory. In the light, Xiao Pingan really saw someone sending cloth to the woman's home, saying that it could be used to make clothes. In less than a minute, the light dissipated. Master Shuiwei gently put down the jade pen in her hand and stroked her beard with an unfathomable expression. "Master, how was it?" the woman asked nervously. "Madam Gan, that dream indeed indicated that your husband might take another concubine back. Your husband has taken a fancy to another beautiful woman outside," Master Shuiwei said calmly. Hearing this, a trace of tears appeared in the woman's eyes, and she started wiping her tears sadly. "I would rather our family not be so rich and be like before. Our family would be happy and have enough to eat and wear. Ever since we came to Shangjing City, the better our family's life, the bigger our business, and the more money we have, the more women he finds. He already has 7 concubines at home. How is that not enough? I'm only a little older, and he already likes the new and hates the old, starting to look for younger women. Master, is there any way to resolve this matter? Dreams are kind of omen. If handled properly, it is indeed possible to resolve it. However, this matter has a lot of implications. Madame Gan should be clear about this. I don't dare to make any guarantees and can only try my best. Moreover, it's not good for us to rashly intervene in other people's karma. We can only partially intervene, I understand. I'll have to trouble Master this time." As the woman spoke, she took out a gold note from her sleeve and handed it over. When Xiao Pingan saw the denomination of the gold note, he cursed in his heart. It was a gold note worth 100 gold coins. Master Shuiwei received the gold notes and pulled open a drawer in front of her. She then took out a piece of silver and picked up a brush by the side. With a grave expression, she used cinnabar to draw a bunch of things that no one could understand on that piece of silver. She then carefully wrapped that piece of silver with a red cloth and tied 2 complicated knots before handing it over to that Madame Gan. "Madam, put this dream transformation divine talisman into your husband's pillow and make sure he sleeps with that pillow for a night. After he sleeps, take this dream transformation divine talisman out of your husband's pillow and don't let anyone else see it. Then, throw this dream transformation divine talisman into a flowing river." "Thank you, Master Shuiwei." That woman carefully put away Master Shuiwei's painting with the red cloth as if she was receiving a treasure. She then stood up and bowed to Master Shuiwei before leaving. Watching Madame Gan leave, Master Shuiwei's face revealed a smile. F*CK. That's it. She got over 100 gold coins in just a few minutes. In addition to the gold coins from before, this woman's expenses for interpreting dreams was enough to buy a realm pearl. Xiao was so jealous that his eyes turned red. Seeing this scene, Xiao was already certain that there was an 80% chance that this Master Shuiyue was a swindler. Firstly, this Master Shuyue's interpretation of dreams was wrong. Someone sent cloth and silk to the family. From a meaning of the dream interpretation, it indicated that a distant relative of this woman's family was coming. Perhaps it was this woman's maternal family that was coming. Secondly, this Master Shuyue's words were all said by observing the woman's body language. They were all ambiguous words. These words were the same as the words of those punks in the pugilistic world. No matter what happened later, you would feel that he was right. If that woman's husband didn't bring back a concubine, that woman would think that Master Shuyue's dream transformation divine talisman had worked and would trust Master Shuyue more. If that woman's husband really brought back a concubine from home, that woman would also think that Master Shuyue was right. Master Shuyue had already said that the dream transformation divine talisman didn't completely resolve this matter. Lastly, from Xiaoping's perspective as a rune master, the words that Master Shuyue had written on the silver piece with cinnabar didn't have the slightest ripple of divine power or Tao. It was just a F*** scribble. Just that little thing, a few silver coins worth of production cost, and 100 gold coins in the blink of an eye. This Master Shuyue's only true ability was that when he used the jade brush to point at that woman's forehead, he was able to recreate the woman's dream from last night. That seemed to be a summoner's secret technique. From the aura on Master Shuyue's body, Master Shuyue was a summoner. However, he hadn't reached the One Sun realm, and the divine power on his body was very weak. That secret technique that could recreate a person's dream seemed mysterious and unfathomable. It was because of this secret technique that Master Shuyue's following tricks and words could be used without any hindrance, causing people to believe him without a doubt. If one were to ask how Xiao knew that the woman's dream had someone send cloth to her family, it was very simple. When Xiao was studying history at the Old Summer Palace Vocational and Technical College in his previous life, he had systematically researched ancient Huaxia's dream divination culture and the influence that dream divination culture had on Huaxia's history. Unlike other nations, ancient Huaxia was the only country that set up official positions for dream divination masters. Dream divination in ancient Huaxia had always been valued by those kings and rulers. It definitely wasn't the act of a charlatan. Ancient Huaxia's research on dreams was unparalleled. They had long produced monographs that systematically discussed dream divination, such as Yellow Emperor Chong Lu's Dream Divination Sutra, Duke of Zhou's Dream Interpretation Book, etc. Many ancient Huaxia sages were dream divination masters, such as Duke of Zhou, Yanzi, and Di Renjie. Starting from the Zhou dynasty, the imperial court had set up official positions that specialized in dream divination. Furthermore, there were two official positions. One was a part-time dream divination master, and the other was a full-time dream divination master. The divination master was in charge of 3 dream techniques. The first day was to create dreams, the second day was to suppress dreams, and the third day was to nourish dreams. The divination master had 10 scriptures and the other 90. The dream divination master was in charge of the 6 dream techniques, which included true dreams, nightmares, thinking dreams, sleeping dreams, pleasant dreams, and fearing dreams. The dream interpretation culture had a profound impact on Huaxia's history. The most well-known example of the impact of dreams on history was when King Zhou found Jiangxia in his dream of flying bears. There were many others, but the one that had the greatest impact and the most unknown was when Wu Zetian dreamt that she couldn't win in a game of Shuanglun and sought Di Renjie to interpret her dream. Di Renjie said that the meaning of the dream was that Wu Zetian didn't have a son, so she couldn't win in Shuanglun. The heavens were using Shuanglun as a warning to Wu Zetian. Only then did Wu Zetian wake up and crown the prince of Luling, Li Zhe, as the crown prince. If Di Renjie didn't interpret the dream, the crown prince might have been Wu Sanxi, and the history of Great Tang and Huaxia might have been rewritten. After the woman left, The people in the queue entered Carefree Pavilion to seek Master Shui Yue to interpret their dreams. In Xiaoping's eyes, Master Shui Yue's ability to interpret dreams was simply nonsense. However, his ability to fool people was top-notch. For those who sought Master Shui Yue to interpret their dreams, other than understanding their dreams, there were also some who were like that woman and made some requests for Master Shui Yue to help resolve their dreams. At this time, Master Shui Yue began to write his dream-forming divine talisman and fooled those people into a daze. At the same time, they were all deeply grateful. Xiaopinggan only watched from outside for half an hour and found that Master Shui Yue had already earned 500 to 600 gold coins with this trick. To Xiaopinggan, this was like discovering a new continent. F***CK. He didn't expect this profession to be so profitable and so easy. His ability to interpret dreams was inherited from the Duke of Zhou. The Duke of Zhou was a master of ancient China's dream interpretation and a grandmaster in the world of dream interpretation. He had memorized the Duke of Zhou's dream interpretation book by heart, and he was 10,000 times better than this Master Shui Yue. He was also an authentic rune master, and when it came to drawing runes, he was 10,000 times better than this Master Shui Yue. If this Master Shui Yue could rely on dream interpretation to make a name for himself in Shangjing, there was no reason why he couldn't do the same. The only thing was that the secret technique that Master Shui Yue used to recreate other people's dreams seemed to be very amusing and was very good at scaring people. He didn't know what the secret technique was, but if he could grasp it, wouldn't it be very easy for him to become a dream seer in Shangjing and earn a lot of money? At that time, would he still have to worry about not having enough money to buy the Realm Pearl? Chapter 205. A few horse carriages had already left the small plaza outside Carefree Restaurant, but there were still many people in the queue. Carefree Restaurant's number plate had just reached number 16. Looking at those horse carriages, Xiaopinggan saw fields of ripe wheat waiting to be harvested. No, it wasn't waiting to be harvested, but these ripe wheat would automatically run into someone else's bowl. Another person left Carefree Restaurant. That high-spirited servant in green walked out of the restaurant and passed through the courtyard's waterside pavilion, wanting to call for someone else. Xiaopinggan waited at the door. As soon as the green-clothed manservant walked out, Xiaopinggan took a step forward and stood in front of the green-clothed manservant. At this moment, a few dissatisfied gazes came from the horse carriages behind, all focused on Xiaopinggan's back. However, the people in the horse carriages didn't come down. Those who came here to seek Master Shui Yue's interpretation of dreams were all respectable people and wouldn't make a racket in public. More importantly, everyone knew that Carefree Restaurant followed the rules. Those without a number plate couldn't enter. The gazes from the horse carriages were waiting for Xiaopinggan to be deflated. "This little brother, may I ask if Master Shui Yue is here?" Xiaopinggan asked with a radiant smile. As he spoke, he extended his hand and handed a gold coin to that high-spirited servant in green. The servant in green originally wanted to scold him, but his mood improved when he felt the weight of the gold coin in his hand. Even in this place, it wasn't easy to meet such a generous guest who could give him a gold coin on their first meeting. Therefore, the servant in green spoke much more politely. "This is Master Shui Yue's Carefree Restaurant. If this young master wants a number plate, please come back tomorrow afternoon. Master Shui Yue only receives customers with a number plate." "Oh, I see. This is my first time in the capital. I heard that Master Shui Yue is very good at interpreting dreams and actually has a secret technique that can allow you to see other people's dreams. I wanted to ask Master Shui Yue for guidance. I wonder where that secret technique came from and whether I can learn it." So he was a country bumpkin? That servant in green took another look at Xiaopinggan, raised the corner of his mouth, and said proudly, "Master Shui Yue's secret technique is the dream manipulation technique. To master the secret technique, you have to be a summoner and at the same time be able to successfully integrate a Dream Master's Realm Pearl. That Realm Pearl isn't cheap and easily costs a few thousand gold coins." Master Shui Yue was able to become a Dream Master after integrating a Dream Master's Realm Pearl. So was the ability provided by the Dream Master's Realm Pearl. Xiao Pingon immediately understood. But you can't become a Dream Master. It's not that, but... The servant in green kept the gold coins in his pocket and shouted at the horse carriages in the queue. Those who have obtained number 17, please head to Carefree Restaurant. Xiao Pingon left the place. To Xiao Pingon, since it was the Realm Pearl that provided the ability, it was easy for him. He just needed to obtain a Realm Pearl. Originally, Xiao Pingon wanted to buy a few more Realm Pearls in the night market. However, after hearing the servant in green say that the price of the Dream Master's Realm Pearl was very exaggerated and could easily cost a few thousand gold coins, Xiao Pingon decided not to spend any more money. He decided to get the Dream Master's Realm Pearl first. At this moment, Xiao Pingon had already made up his mind to become a Dream Master in Shangjing City. Damn it, it was too easy to earn money as a Dream Master. Furthermore, there was no danger. If he wanted to do this, he would definitely be better than that Master Shueiyue. The night market was still bustling with noise and excitement. Xiao Pingon's mind was filled with Dream Master's Realm Pearls, and he had no time to stroll around. Seeing that there was a shop by the side of the road that sold Realm Pearls, the scale of the shop looked quite big. Xiao Pingon directly went in. "Boss, do you have Dream Master's Realm Pearls here?" Xiao Pingon asked the moment he entered the shop. The fat boss of the shop looked at Xiao Pingon and laughed. He said politely, "Sir, you are here to pick up some scraps in my shop. The price of the Dream Master's Realm Pearl is too expensive. Those who obtain it would usually send it to the auction house. The price at the auction house would be higher. Sir, you can go to the auction house and ask around. Could it be that there are many people who want to buy Dream Master's Realm Pearls? Of course, those Dream Master's Realm Pearls are not dangerous. Even though the success rate of fusion is not high, after fusion, it can increase one's god power and one can master the secret technique of the dream development technique. In the future, one will have an additional ability to earn a living. Naturally, the price will rise. There are more than one type of Dream Master's Realm Pearls?" Xiao Pingon was stunned. He rubbed his face. He thought that there was only one type of Dream Master's Realm Pearls. Yes, there are a few types of Dream Master's Realm Pearls. As long as one can master those Realm Pearls, one can master the dream development technique. Thank you for telling me. You're welcome. The Realm Pearls sold in my shop are not much more expensive than those sold outside. They're basically the same price. Many of them are sold on behalf of friends. There are many types of Realm Pearls. If you need them in the future, you can come and take care of my shop's business. Seeing that the boss was rather polite and knew how to conduct himself, Xiao Pingon looked up at the shop signboard as he walked out of the shop. He remembered the name of the shop, Forest of Treasures. After confirming that the Dream Master's Realm Pearls could only be found in auction houses, Xiao Pingon headed straight for the auction house. On the streets of the Tianyuan Bridge Night Market, there were a few auction houses of various sizes. Xiao Pingon first went to two smaller auction houses to inquire. The answers he received were the same. These two auction houses did not have any Dream Master's Realm Pearls. After which, Xiao Pingon headed straight for the biggest auction house in the Tianyuan Bridge Night Market, the King Rock Auction House. The Rock King Auction House was located in the most prosperous area of the core area of Tianyuan Bridge Night Market. There was a huge square outside the auction house, which was dozens of times larger than the square outside Carefree Building. There was even a fountain in the square. Outside the auction house, there was a huge golden rock standing with its wings spread out, which was very eye-catching. The entrance of the auction house was at the feet of the golden rock. Behind the entrance was a huge building, which looked like a huge opera house from the outside. The moment Xiao Pingon entered the auction house, someone came up to him and asked if he needed any services. After some communication, Xiao Pingon finally found out that the Golden Rock Auction House had a Dream Master's Realm Pearl. Furthermore, the Dream Master's Realm Pearl would be auctioned off in a small-scale auction 3 days later. The entry ticket for the auction 3 days later was 5 gold coins. Xiao Pingon spent 5 gold coins and obtained an entry ticket for the auction 3 days later, after which he left the King Rock Auction House. When Xiao Pingon came out of the King Rock Auction House, it was already late at night. Some of the stalls in the Tianyuan Bridge night market had started to close. After leaving the night market, Xiao Pingan hailed a rental carriage outside the night market and returned to his small courtyard at the foot of Ping Mountain. Tonight's trip to the night market was fruitful. Apart from buying a pile of realm pearls, he had also confirmed how to make money in Shangjing City. Xiao Pingan was in a good mood. There were still 3 days before the auction. During these 3 days, Xiao Pingan planned to complete the integration of the realm pearls that he had obtained, after which he would find some time to visit the Shang Dynasty's library in Shangjing City to see if he could find some information about the Dark Tower. There were not many people on the road at night. The gas lamps on the road were emitting faint light in the darkness, attracting a large number of mosquitoes to fly around the gas lamps. Occasionally, a carriage would run across the road, and the crisp sound of horse hooves would reverberate on the road. After sitting in the carriage for less than half of the journey, Xiao Pingan suddenly saw the image of the Tang family's elder in his sea of consciousness. The Tang family's elder in the room was originally resting on the bed. However, all of a sudden, the Tang family's elder opened his eyes and got up from the bed. He swiftly changed into a black robe and put on that ox head mask. In the blink of an eye, the Tang family's elder transformed into the person who was chasing after Xiao Pingan. Seeing that the Tang family's elder had finally transformed, Xiao Pingan, who was in the carriage, became spirited. This Tang family's elder was finally going to reveal his foxtail. After doing all this silently, the Tang family's elder came to the study room in the bedroom. After pressing a few buttons on a cabinet in the study room, the cabinet slid open, revealing a pitch-black entrance that led underground. The Tang family's elder entered the underground entrance and restored the study room to its original state. Then, he walked along the underground entrance. After walking for more than 100 meters, an underground river appeared in front of the Tang family's elder. A mass of black fog wrapped around the Tang family's elder. He immediately jumped into the underground river and rapidly swam towards a certain place. From the beginning to the end, the boy of blessings was inseparable from the Tang family's elder. The Tang family's elder was standing while the boy of blessings was sitting on his head. The Tang family's elder turned into a mass of black fog and jumped into the underground river. The boy of blessings was riding on the Tang family's elder's neck while giggling and swinging his chubby little feet. However, the Tang family's elder didn't notice it at all. After the Tang family's elder swam along the underground river for more than 20 kilometers, the water of the underground river suddenly surged and poured into a large river from an underground waterhole. That large river was Chinan River. The Tang family's elder, who was wrapped in black fog, looked like a weird big fish swimming in the river. Chinan River was wide and deep. At the bottom of the river, one could see the huge bottoms of big ships slowly moving on the water surface from time to time. After swimming for half an hour, the Tang family's elder swam to the bottom of a big ship. Closely sticking to the big ship, he lightly knocked on the bottom of the ship for a few times. After a few seconds, an isolation cabin at the bottom of the big ship was opened. The Tang family's elder, who was in the form of black fog, immediately poured into the isolation cabin. Strangely enough, the hatch at the bottom of the boat could be opened and people could enter, but not a drop of water could enter the boat. Standing in front of the Tang family's elder was a person in a black robe and a ghost mask. That person was holding a shining blue bead. He pressed the switch of the isolation cabin with one hand, causing the cabin door to slowly close. This water-repelling bead is not bad. With this bead, we can explore the demonic dragon palace at the bottom of the sea. The Tang family's elder said in a hoarse voice, "But it's too troublesome to meet here. This is Shangjing City, right under the eyes of the Judgment Army. We have to be careful," the person holding the bead said. Judging from his voice, he was about 40 to 50 years old. "Have they arrived?" "Yes, they've arrived." Chapter 206. The elder of Tang family then followed the man in a ghost mask forward through the tunnel at the bottom of the ship. Sitting on the head of the elder of Tang family, Boy of Blessings was also looking around curiously. When Xiao Pingan was curious about the look of this huge ship, Boy of Blessings had already disappeared from the head of the elder of Tang family. Almost in a split second, he appeared on the chimney of the huge superstructure of a ship. Xia Pinggan's vision instantly shifted from the bottom of the ship to the top of the ship. What he saw shocked Xia Pinggan greatly. This was a huge cruise ship weighing tens of thousands of tons. It was almost 200 m long with 4 huge chimneys. At this moment, this huge cruise ship was slowly sailing on Chinan River. The deck of the cruise ship was brightly lit with strings of colorful lights. Xia Pinggan could even see that a boisterous banquet was being held around the swimming pool on the upper deck of this cruise ship. Numerous well-dressed ladies were drinking and chatting on the deck. Additionally, a band was playing cheerful music. This was the living scene of the upper class in Shanjing City. Sitting on the cruise ship, they drank and made merry on the sparkling Chinan River and partied all night. With a flash, Boy of Blessings had already arrived at the merry crowd on the lower deck. He stepped on the drinks, cheeses, and fruit plates on the tables and jumped here and there. From time to time, he would shuttle between those beauties in long skirts. Occasionally, he would pull their hair, kiss their cheeks, or directly drill under their skirts. Just now, Xia Pinggan wanted to praise Boy of Blessings as he felt that Boy of Blessings was too smart. He knew what he wanted to see. However, Xia Pinggan had not imagined that this Boy of Blessings liked to flirt with beauties. While shuttling among the beauties, Boy of Blessings revealed an intoxicated expression. Nobody on the deck had discovered Boy of Blessings' arrival. While Child of Fortune was shuttling through the group of beauties, Xia Pinggan also saw the name of the cruise ship. The name of the cruise ship could be seen on the lifeboat, see Zither Cruise Ship. This was a great harvest. If that elder of Tang family was a member of the Bloody Demon sect, this Sea Zither cruise ship was definitely one of the strongholds of the Bloody Demon sect in Shanjing City. The owner and captain of this Sea Zither cruise ship were definitely related to the Bloody Demon sect. This was a great merit. Xia Pinggan became a bit excited. The Boy of Fortune quickly circled around the deck. In the next second, the Boy of Fortune disappeared from the deck and entered the first floor of the cabin. There was a huge casino covering thousands of square meters in the cabin. Xia Pinggan saw countless people gambling on the gambling tables in the cabin. It was very lively. In the next second, Boy of Fortune left the casino and went to the next floor. On this floor, there was a theater. There were countless beautiful women performing songs and dances. A group of women wearing revealing clothes shuttled through the crowd. From time to time, they would tease the people here. Further down, Xia Pinggan saw the kitchen and dining room on the cruise ship. Numerous staff members were busy in the kitchen and dining room. The kitchen was in full swing. On the next floor, Xia Pinggan saw numerous pipes, machines, and gears. It was stuffy and hot on this floor. Large groups of workers were adding coal to the boilers and maintaining various pipes and machines on the ship like ants. The faces of the workers at the bottom of the cruise ship were dark. Most of them were working bare-chested, sweat dripping down their backs. A few people who looked like supervisors were shouting and giving orders in the cabins and engine rooms below with vulgar words. In the blink of an eye, Boy of Blessings had circled around the ship. In the blink of an eye, he returned to the side of the elder of Tang family and sat on his head. One floor below those workers, the elder of Tang family and that man passed through a dark and narrow passage and finally came to a spacious and closed room. There was a long black table in the room. The main seat of the table was a white high-back chair made of numerous human skulls. There were at least 200 human skulls on that chair. On both sides of the long table, there were chairs made of human hand bones, leg bones, and other bones. In the middle of the long table, blood-red candles were lit. There were a total of 6 people in black robes and ghost masks sitting on both sides of the long table. There were 2 empty seats around the long table. Although there were people in the room, nobody spoke. The atmosphere was weird and cold. After the elder of Tang family and that man entered the room, there were 8 people in the room. The elder of Tang family casually found a seat on one side of the long table and sat down. The man who led the elder of Tang family here was sitting beside the elder of Tang family. The seats on both sides of the long table were full. However, the main seat made of human skulls was still empty. Ha ha ha! We haven't gathered for a long time. I wonder why Altar Master has gathered us this time. Is it because he wants to do something big in Shangjing City? A large-scale sacrifice of tens of thousands of people would definitely be very interesting. The demon overlord would definitely reward him handsomely. A person in a black robe sitting opposite the Tang family elder spoke. That person's voice was hoarse. It was impossible to tell whether that person was male or female. Do you have the ability to do that? Another person in a black robe asked coldly. I've already chosen my target. As long as you have the ability to block the Judgment Army in Shangjing City for 4 hours, I will sacrifice over 70,000 people on Long Dragon Island. I will show those bishops of Dark Battle God Church who has the final say on the sea. It's really the Blood Demon Church? This elder of Tang family is really a remnant of the Blood Demon Church. Xia Pingan became spirited at once. But I don't know the identities of the others. What a boastful tone. Although that altar head hasn't shown up, he should be the real leader of the Blood Demon Church in Shangjing City. Just as Xia Pingan was thinking about this, he saw the boy of fortune, who was originally sitting on the head of the Tang family elder, jump onto the head of the person next to him. He took out a little bird from under his red doo-doo and peed on that person's head. Then, he jumped onto the head of the person next to him and peed a little more. In the blink of an eye, the other 7 people's heads had been peed on by the boy of fortune. Although this urine wasn't as much as what the boy of fortune had sprinkled on the heads of the Tang family elders, it still seemed to have a strange effect. When the urine was sprinkled, Xia Pingan saw a faint dark green light appear on the heads of those people. It was very eye-catching, just like a mark. The boy of fortune then sat back on the head of the elder of Tang family complacently. I'm afraid that you won't have such a comfortable life on the sea from now on. The one who led the elder of Tang family here opened his mouth. What do you mean? The one who said that he would sacrifice over 70,000 people on Long Dragon Island immediately asked him with displeasure. This is also one of the contents of this gathering arranged by Alterhead. According to the intelligence of our informants, Great Shan Country has recently obtained the 2 key technologies of alloy casting and high explosive for 400mm huge cannons from Great Ting Country in Wood Flood Dragon Province. A few days ago, Beidang Wanchuan had already completed the test firing with some huge cannons from Great Ting Country in the underground city of Shangjing City. The huge cannons' shooting range and power are very amazing. They could completely suppress all living beings and summon creatures below 3 suns realm. Even if we were hit by the huge cannons without any preparation, we might be severely injured or even shattered into pieces. Additionally, the high explosive doesn't have any immortal energy wave and is very difficult to detect. If the Dark Battle God cult used it to deal with us, it would be very difficult. Great Shan Country has already started to cast huge cannons and mass-produce that kind of high explosive. As long as the underground cities and navy of Great Shan Country complete the upgrade, the situation facing Great Shan Country in the underground and on the sea might completely change. This is very disadvantageous to us. Alterhead, what do you want us to do? The elder of Tang family asked. The trade between Great Shan Country and Great Ting Country in Wood Flood Dragon Province was facilitated by Beitang Wanchuan. The upgrade plan of Great Shan Country's navy and underground cities was also led by Beitang Wanchuan. Now, some military factories, shipyards, research institutes, and steel factories in Great Shan Country are preparing for the early stage of huge cannons and high explosive production. The complete technical information of huge cannons and high explosive is still in the hands of Beitang Wanchuan. As long as we kill Beitang Wanchuan and seize his technical information, Great Shan Country would fall into civil strife, and their upgrade plan would be terminated. Chapter 207. Beidang Wanchuan. Xia Pingan was too familiar with this name. It was impossible not to be familiar with it. Beitang Wanchuan was the crown prince of the Great Shan Nation and the patriarch of the Dark War God cult. Beidang Wanchuan was the kind of person who stood at the top of the pyramid in Shangjing City and the entire Great Shan Nation. Xiao Pingon naturally knew Beidang Wanchuan's name. He didn't expect the blood demon cult to attack the crown prince of the great Shang nation. This information was too valuable. Even sitting in the carriage, Xiao Pingon's heart was beating violently. The meeting at the bottom of the sea Zither cruise ship was still going on. What the person said just now shocked the other people in the meeting. There was a short silence in the room. If Beitang Wanchuan is easy to kill, why wait until now? A person sitting opposite the Tang family elder said coldly, Beitang Wanchuan is already a powerful summoner of the Five Suns realm. I'm afraid none of us here is a match for Beitang Wanchuan. What's more, Beitang Wanchuan has a lot of experts around him. I heard that Beitang Wanchuan is secretly protected by a Seven Suns realm imperial consecrator. How can we kill him? That's right. Do you really think that the people from the Judgment Army are useless? Another person next to him said, although we're not weak, we have to admit that they have the advantage in the great Shang nation. Beitang Wanchuan will leave Shangjing City on the 15th of May next month. He will take an airship to Beihai Harbor to participate in the launching ceremony of the great Shang nation's Navy's new ship and the subsequent fleet review. At that time, Beitang Wanchuan's guards will be the weakest. Altar Master has already made arrangements. At that time, Altar Master will restrain the Imperial Consecrator around Beitang Wanchuan, and you will be responsible for reigning in the other guards and the experts of the fleet. At that time, someone will be responsible for killing Beitang Wanchuan. This operation is very important. Altar Master wants you to do your best, even if it means exposing part of our strength in Shangjing City and the great Shang nation. As the speaker spoke, he took out 7 pieces of black crystals and handed one to each of them. This is the task that Altar Master has arranged for each of you. Take a look. The 7 people each took a piece of black crystal and immersed their consciousness into it. In just a few seconds, they understood the contents and information of the crystal. Then, they crushed the black crystals one by one. Even though Xiao Pingon had the Child of Fortune was in the room, the Child of Fortune god couldn't know the specific contents and arrangements of the crystals. Therefore, Xiao Pingon naturally wouldn't know the details. I have another question. The Great Ting Kingdom of the Wood Flood Dragon Province didn't have any outstanding achievements in the field of firearms manufacturing. I have never heard of any great craftsmen in the Great Ting Kingdom. Huge cannons and high explosives have always been the key research projects of the military of various countries. However, it is very difficult, and the progress of each country is very slow. Why does the Great Ting Kingdom suddenly have such an ability? How can they make breakthroughs in both the huge cannons and high explosives at the same time? Someone in the room asked. This is the second thing that I want to talk about. The reason why the Great Ting Kingdom's firearms research advanced by leaps and bounds in such a short period of time and brought us such a huge trouble is that the Great Ting Kingdom received the help of a spacewalker. Spacewalkers? Are they the people who entered the Yuanxiu world from the secondary planes, suppressed by the Dark Tower of the Demon Overlord? Yes, it's them. Those spacewalkers are the traitors who overestimate themselves and want to challenge the Demon Overlord's order of the secondary planes. Their strength is generally very weak and can't reach the apex. However, some spacewalkers have unimaginable power in firearms and machinery and can bring us a lot of trouble. This time, the spacewalker who made the Great Ting Kingdom's firearms research advance by leaps and bounds is this spacewalker. What instructions does the Altar Master have? According to the Altar Master's instructions, a few spacewalkers have come from the Gold Moon continent. Some of them may have already arrived in the Shang Kingdom. If the Blood Demon Church encounters those spacewalkers, kill them without mercy. If you can kill a spacewalker, you will be rewarded with an immortal elixir. That person said in a force-like tone. Immortal elixir. The masked people in the room exclaimed as if it was an incredible elixir. What do they look like? How do we find them? Someone asked. The person who had just spoken moved his hand, and 4 portraits appeared in his hand. These are the spacewalkers who may have already arrived in the Gold Moon continent. Remember, pass down the order. If you encounter them in the future, don't let them live. The 4 portraits were placed on the table. The faces of the people in the portraits were clear and lifelike. Boy of Fortune jumped onto the table and took a look. The faces in the portraits appeared in Xia Pinggan's consciousness. When he saw the 4 portraits, Xia Pinggan's heart almost stopped beating. That was because Xia Pinggan saw his portrait at first glance. In addition to Xia Pinggan's portrait, the other 3 portraits were of Yin Duo, Wu Zhanfeng, and a summoner called Lin Qing. Looking at the portraits on the table, the Tang family elder's fingers on his thigh trembled. His gaze behind a mask paused on Xia Pinggan's portrait for a moment. Of course, he remembered Xia Pinggan's face. However, the Tang family elder was astute, so he didn't show any abnormality at this time. Soon, the people gathered in this room left through the underwater passage at the bottom of the cabin one by one. They turned into black smoke and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The person with the water-repelling bead was the last to leave. After closing the underwater cabin door, he went all the way up the stairs from another secret passage at the bottom of the cabin. After a while, he entered a luxurious suite on the cruise ship. Taking off his black robe and mask, he transformed into a handsome middle-aged man with a graceful demeanor. Then, he took a pile of chips and went to the casino. Soon after the middle-aged man walked out of the room, he encountered a greasy man who was holding 2 beautiful women. When the greasy man saw the middle-aged man, he was slightly surprised and immediately loosened his arms from the 2 beautiful women. His body became stiff. Commandant Sua, don't be nervous, don't be nervous. I'm just here to play a few rounds, the man said with a chuckle. There's no Commandant Su here. Only young Master Su who's here to have fun. Do you understand? Yes. The greasy man hurriedly nodded. The middle-aged man patted the greasy man's shoulder and unceremoniously pinched the face of one of the beautiful women. He smiled and said, Kid, you're quite lucky with women. Enjoy. After saying that, he left. After Commandant Su left, one of the women next to the greasy man curled her lips and said coquettishly, Who is that person? He's so rude and even pinched people's faces. Why don't you tell us, if you don't want to become bones in this river, to serve me well? Don't ask so many questions, understand? The greasy man said with some trepidation. The 2 women nodded. Their expressions changed, and they didn't dare to ask any more questions. Child prodigy of Fortune's figure flashed. He giggled and left the man's head. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with the Tang family elder and rode on his neck. The Tang family elder returned to the Great Wan Guild Hall. Not long after he lay on the bed, he heard a knock on the door. Who is it? Elder, it's me, Tang Long. It's so late. Can't we talk tomorrow? The Tang family elder's dignified voice sounded in the room. Elder, I just found a warrant for arrest outside. I felt it was a little strange, so I brought it for you to take a look. Warrant for arrest? What warrant for arrest? The door opened and Tang Long came in, holding Xia Pinggan's warrant for arrest. Elder, look, isn't this the person who was hit by the soulless technique? I didn't expect this person to also be in Shanjing City. He's actually wanted. Seeing Xia Pinggan's face on the warrant for arrest, the Tang family elder's expression changed slightly. Guest, we've arrived at Changle Alley. The carriage stopped at some point. The coachman got off and respectfully opened the carriage door for Xia Pinggan. Only at this time did Xia Pinggan, who was in the carriage, wake up from his daze. The gas lamps on the side of the road outside were lit, and several grand mansions and courtyards were faintly discernible in the darkness. The sound of the night watchman echoed in the darkness, and the street next to Ping Mountain was quiet and peaceful. But to Xia Pinggan, he only felt that the night of Shanjing City was filled with danger, making his heart palpitate. Chapter 208. Xia Pinggan paid the fare and walked into the alley. The street lamps in the alley elongated his shadow. The house he rented was in this Changle Alley. He walked through the alley alone, unlocked the door, and returned to the quiet courtyard. The black dragon, who was guarding the house, pounced on Xia Pinggan and kept licking his hand. Xia Pinggan stroked the black dragon's head and returned to the living room. He did not light the lamp and just sat in front of the window in the living room by the courtyard. He looked at the sparse moonlight and the shadows of the trees outside. He buried himself in the shadows of the room and narrowed his eyes slightly. The information he received tonight made Xia Pingan understand the hidden dangers of Shangjing City. He had to sort it out properly. The information sent back by the Child of Fortune was too crucial. If it were not for the Child of Fortune, Xia Pingan felt that he would not even know how he died in the future. He had wanted to infiltrate the inner circle of the Blood Demon Church, but he did not expect that the Blood Demon Church had already sharpened their blades and issued a kill order for him. If he dared to come into contact with the people of the Blood Demon Church, he would be walking into a trap like a moth flying into a flame. Spacewalker? These three words made Xia Pingan's heart tighten. The Blood Demon Church already knew his identity and origin, which made Xia Pingan feel a huge sense of danger. He was not the first spacewalker to come to this world. Many spacewalkers had come to this world before, so there was a special term like spacewalker in this world. Furthermore, Xia Pingan keenly discovered two crucial pieces of information from the conversation between the members of the Blood Demon Church. The Dark Tower was a tool used by the Demon Sovereign to suppress the secondary planes. At the same time, the secondary planes that the Demon Sovereign used the Dark Tower to suppress were not limited to the one he came from. There could be other worlds as well. This was because those people used the plural word those when they talked about the secondary planes. Spacewalkers were people who had smuggled themselves into this world from the secondary planes. In addition to himself, Yin Duo, Wu Zhanfeng, and the others might have met with an accident in the space passage and arrived at the Gold Moon continent. However, how did the people of the Blood Demon Church know that they had come to the Gold Moon continent? Moreover, how did they know what they looked like? Even if his companions had fallen into the hands of the Blood Demon Church and were being interrogated, how could his companions know that he had come to the Gold Moon continent? Could it be that the higher-ups of the Blood Demon Church had grasped some unimaginably powerful secret method that could lock onto the whereabouts of the space traversers? This information gave Xia Pingan a new understanding of the Blood Demon Church and made him feel terrified. The Blood Demon Church of this world was definitely not something that the demon I could compare to. In this world, his relationship with the Blood Demon Church was just like the relationship between the Lamplighters and the Demon Eye on Earth. It had been completely reversed. He had become the target of the Blood Demon Church's hunt, and once his identity was exposed, he would die. Since the Blood Demon sect had the ability to assassinate the Crown Prince of the Great Shang Nation, the Blood Demon sect's strength in the Great Shang Nation was absolutely terrifying. If they wanted to kill him, it would be even easier. For a very long time in the future, he would not be able to move around in public. That would be making himself a target, and it would be too dangerous. The Blood Demon Church and he were already mortal enemies. Would the Great Shang Nation and the Judgment Army be a variable to him? He had used his original appearance when he joined the Judgment Army. If the Great Shang Nation and the Judgment Army knew that he was a space traverser, what would their attitude towards space traversers be? Would he be in danger? Sitting in the dark, Xia Pingan closed his eyes and began to perform in his mind. After a while, cold sweat appeared on Xia Pingan's forehead. Xia Pingan opened his eyes again, and there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. Just now, he performed the result of the higher-ups of the Great Shang Nation and the Judgment Army knowing his identity as a space traverser. All kinds of possibilities finally converged and pointed to the final result, which was still death. Once his identity was exposed, the Judgment Army and the Great Shang Nation would not kill him. Instead, they would guard against him and restrict him while making use of him. After squeezing out all his value and what he knew, they would use him as bait to lure the people of the Blood Demon Church over and over again. This would make it convenient for the Great Shang Nation and the Judgment Army to eliminate the hidden people of the Blood Demon Church and the Great Shang Nation. In the collision between the two giants, a space traverser like himself was too insignificant. The possibility of him surviving in the end was very slim. The Judgment Army still did not know his identity as a space traverser for the time being. However, as time went by, his identity would inevitably be exposed to the Judgment Army. There was no way to hide it at all. Whether it was someone from the Judgment Army infiltrating the Blood Demon Church, or the Judgment Army fighting with the Blood Demon Church, his identity could be exposed. The biggest possibility was that the Blood Demon Church would definitely take the initiative to reveal his identity as a space traverser through some channels. Then, they would use forces outside the Blood Demon Church to find him. First, they would alert the enemy, and then kill with a borrowed knife. This was the fastest way for the Blood Demon Church to find him. Once the Blood Demon Church did this, his identity would be exposed instantly. If he did not integrate the divine bead of fortune and the child of fortune, he would be like a blind man walking on the edge of a cliff without knowing it. However, now that he knew, the initiative was back in his hands. Xiaoping's eyes gradually calmed down and slowly became firm and deep. Finally, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Then, he got up and entered the secret underground room through the secret door. He came to the stone bed for cultivation and sat cross-legged on the futon. Then he took out the 4 realm beads that he bought tonight. The 5 realm beads had different colors and lights. Touching the 5 lovely realm beads in his hand, Xiaoping's heart was at ease again. This was the way the world was. Everything depended on strength. As long as he became stronger and stronger, sooner or later, all the obstacles and enemies in front of him would vanish. After looking around the 5 realm beads, Xiaoping picked up the most expensive realm bead of Tian Guangluan Yong and put away the other 4 realm beads. Then, he took out a silver needle and pricked his finger. He dripped a drop of blood on the realm bead and began to integrate it. This realm bead could summon a powerful assassin, which was what Xiaoping needed the most now. At the same time, Xiaoping also wanted to see what the famous Jing Ke looked like. The realm bead absorbed the blood. In a short time, Xiaoping was wrapped in a cocoon of light. When he opened his eyes again, Xiaoping found himself sitting in front of a table. The table was piled with fine wine and delicious food. He was in a magnificent hall. There were dancers dancing in the hall. Apart from himself, there were 5 people sitting in the hall. A young man in luxurious clothes was sitting at the table next to him. On both sides of the hall, there were 4 tables with 4 people sitting there. Everyone was eating and enjoying the song and dance. Sir, you have been a hero all your life. You are wise and brave. When you were young, you traveled to various countries. You must have seen many powerful and brave people. Now, in this hall, who do you think is the bravest among the 4? Xiaofu, Song Yi, Qin Weiyang, and Jing Ke? The young man in luxurious clothes next to him asked. Xiaoping tilted his head and looked at Yin Crown Prince Dan. To be honest, Yin Crown Prince Dan was very handsome. He was tall and had fair skin. His face was angular and had a valiant aura. Just by looking at his appearance, this Yin Crown Prince Dan was more than 100 times better than many of the so-called fresh meats. People who dared to assassinate the king of Qin did not lack courage and boldness. However, the only thing was that Yin Crown Prince Dan had slanted eyes and thin lips. Although his manner of speaking was amiable, Xiaoping could tell at a glance that this guy was very scheming. He was the kind of person who would do anything to achieve his goals. To be honest, Xiaoping did not like Crown Prince Dan. To a certain extent, Crown Prince Dan was just an aristocrat of the Yin Kingdom who was unwilling to let all his power and wealth be washed away by the torrent of history. He liked to play tricks and play tricks. Tian Guang, who had done his best for Crown Prince Dan, was a hero of his generation. In the end, he was forced to commit suicide by Crown Prince Dan. It made people sigh. Qin Weiyang, who was favored by Crown Prince Dan, was scared stiff in front of Qin Shihuan. He did not even dare to move. In order to win over Jing Ke, Crown Prince Dan had used all kinds of methods to make Jing Ke feel indebted to him and that he could only work for him. He did not know if chopping off Crown Prince Dan's head now counted as changing history. What would happen if he merged with this Rel Pearl? Xiaoping looked at the long sword beside his hand and then at Crown Prince Dan's neck. This thought suddenly flashed through his mind. However, this thought only flashed through his mind. This realm pearl was too expensive. Since it could be merged successfully, Xiaoping did not want to take unnecessary risks for an unknown result. If he killed Crown Prince Dan and then was chopped into pieces by those warriors in the main hall, the merging of the realm pearl would fail. That was not worth it. All kinds of thoughts flashed through Xiaoping's mind. Then, Xiao Pingan decided to follow the rules. After Crown Prince Dan asked this question, Xiao Pingan deliberately said loudly, "I heard that the generals and soldiers of the Qin Kingdom are brave. The Qin Kingdom's bows and arrows are the best in the world. They are invincible. I'm afraid that no one in the Yin Kingdom and the Crown Prince's subordinates dare to compete with the Qin Kingdom's warriors." Xiao Pingan's words were heard by all the people in the main hall. Crown Prince Dan looked stunned. However, the other four people sitting in the main hall looked at Xiao Pingan at the same time, their eyes full of anger. "Why do you say that, sir?" Crown Prince Dan was also stunned. Xiao Pingan laughed out loud and pointed at the other four people in the main hall who had different expressions. "Your Highness, please don't blame me. What Tian Guang said just now was just answering your Highness's question and letting your Highness know who is the bravest of the four. Your Highness, please take a look." After I said that sentence just now, Xia Fu's face turned red because of anger, which is the bravest of the four. Song Yi's face turned blue because of anger, which is the bravest of the four. Qin Weiyang's face turned white because of anger, which is the bravest of the four. Only Jing Ke's face remained unchanged because of anger, which is the bravest of the four. Crown Prince Dan was suddenly enlightened. The whole world of the Realm Pearl was shattered at once. Chapter 209. This Realm Pearl was fused too quickly. It was the fastest of all the Realm Pearls that Xiao Pingan had fused. It only took him 2 sentences to complete the fusion. The entire process took less than 3 minutes. The world of the Realm Pearl had already shattered, and the fusion was successful. Xiao Pingan, who was sitting cross-legged in the underground secret room, opened his eyes. He took out his pocket watch and glanced at it. Only 1 minute had passed, and the fusion of the Realm Pearl had already been completed. In the secret mandala, there were 36 more divine light balls in the vault of heaven. At the same time, there was a statue of Tian Guangluan Yong in the mandala. In the statue, Jing Ke was sitting in front of the table, his expression unchanged. The Yong character in the Mountain of Golden Characters had also been activated. After that, Xiao Pingan continued to take out Realm Pearls to fuse. In one go, he perfectly fused the remaining 4 Realm Pearls. Su Gao's Realm Pearl was about the great craftsman Su Gao building Wanshou Palace during the Jiajing period of the Ming Dynasty. Back then, Wanshou Palace caught fire, and the Jiajing Emperor wanted to rebuild it. This was a huge project. In the end, Lei Li, the Minister of Works, appointed Su Gao to be in charge of the reconstruction. Su Gao adapted to local conditions. He used the materials and bricks of the old Wanshou Palace, together with the materials stored in Taiji, Shangshi's second factory, and the old bricks from the West Court to gather all the materials. Then, he recruited the beggars and refugees in the capital, as well as the soldiers who had not participated in the training, to participate in the reconstruction. In the end, he only received a small amount of money from the Scrivener Department of the Ministry of Works. The imperial court and the great Ming Dynasty did not feel burdened at all. He rebuilt Wanshou Palace, earning the praise of the imperial court and the common people. As long as one understood this historical fact, fusing with this realm bead would be a piece of cake, aside from taking some time. The Realm Pearl with the name Xiao Pumin was also very simple to fuse with. Most people did not know the name Xiao Pumin, but those who studied history, especially the history of the Song Dynasty, would definitely know this person. During the Jinkong incident, Xiao Pumin, who was an official of the Song Dynasty's Ministry of Revenue, was captured by the Jin. The Jin wanted to capture all the members of the imperial family in the capital, so they went to the Imperial Ancestral Temple to find a large number of imperial genealogies for Xiao Pumin to identify. Under those circumstances, Xiao Pumin took advantage of the fact that the Jin people were not paying attention and secretly threw 2 to 3/10 of the Song royal family's genealogy into the fire. In the end, the 2 to 3/10 of the royal family in the capital of the Song dynasty were spared. Xiao Pingan, who had transformed into Xiao Pumin, risked his life to burn more than half of the genealogy records of the Song dynasty royal family. In the end, he escaped from the hands of the Golden Men and rewrote history again. In the end, The Divine Power Realm Pearl gave Xia Pingan an additional 120 points of divine power. Su Gao built the Wanshou Palace because of his wisdom, and Xiao Pumin burned the imperial genealogies because of his loyalty. One was wise, the other was loyal. This allowed the two of them to leave their names in history and be praised by future generations. Zhu Long was the son of the legendary water god Gongong. He was titled as the god of earth. Zhu Long controlled the flood before Yu the Great, and his method was completely different from Yu the Great. Xia Pingan, who had fused with Zhu Long's boundary pearl, once again controlled the flood in the boundary pearl. However, this time, he didn't control the flood by digging. Instead, he used earth. Inside the boundary pearl, Xia Pingan commanded the tribesmen living in the plains to accumulate large mounds of earth on the ground before the flood arrived. When the flood arrived, everyone would go to the mounds to avoid the flood. At the same time, according to historical records, Xia Pingan also recorded that each mound could only house 25 families. These 25 families were collectively known as a society. This was one of the origins of the word society. At the same time, Zhu Long was also known as the society god. The Oath of Tang was a decree and contract used by Shang Tang to suppress Xia Jie during the Battle of Mingtiao. Because of the Oath of Tang, the morale of Shang Tang's army was high, and they eventually won. The successful fusion of the Zhu Long Realm Pearl gave Xia Pingan an Earth-type summoning spell technique. The successful fusion of the Tang Vow Realm Pearl gave Xia Pingan an additional buff spell technique, Tang Vow, which could greatly increase the combat power of the summon character. Xia Pingan spent half a night and successfully fused 5 Realm Pearls. The divine power in the secret mandala increased by 317 points. No one would believe that he could fuse 5 Realm Pearls in one night. It was too abnormal. The next night, Xia Pingan, who had made some preparations, came to Bailing Alley after dark. Red lanterns were hung high in front of the brothels in Bailing Alley. It was the busiest time here at night. There was an endless stream of men who came here to seek pleasure. Inside the brothels, there were sounds of flirting. The fragrance of wine, meat, rouge, and face powder mixed together and drifted in the 100 Spirit Street, causing people to be lost in wild and fanciful thoughts. Seeing Xia Pingan, the 2 pimps at the entrance of the brothels gave him a disdainful look and waved their hands. "Hey, don't loiter around here. Hurry up and leave. Don't block our business." Yeah, where did this pauper come from? So unlucky. Xia Pingan glanced at the brothels through his disheveled hair and then slowly walked towards the Fearless House. At this moment, Xia Pingan was wearing a dirty gray coat that looked like it hadn't been washed for many days. His gray hair was disheveled, and his beard covered most of his face. Even the exposed skin on his face was a little dark. Although he wasn't a beggar, he looked like he was about to become one. With this appearance, even if Xia Pingan's wanted poster was posted at the entrance of the brothels, the 2 pimps wouldn't be able to recognize him. A person like him entering a pawn shop was too suitable. When he arrived at the Fearless House, the servant at the entrance gave him a disdainful look but still led Xia Pingan inside. When Xia Pingan arrived at the pawn shop, he saw Lan Wuwei drinking tea with a leisurely look on his face. Even when Xia Pingan walked up to the counter, Lan Wuwei didn't recognize him. "What do you want to pawn?" the servant at the counter asked. "Is your shopkeeper here?" Xia Pingan's voice was hoarse and haggard like an old man. "I'm a shopkeeper here. What do you want to pawn?" Lan Wuwei turned around and glanced at Xia Pingan. "The last time I came here, I treated it as a treasure. Shopkeeper Lan has forgotten me so quickly. I still have some things here. Do you want to take a look?" Xia Pingan raised his head and glanced at Lan Wuwei. Lan Wuwei and Xia Pingan looked at each other and finally recognized Xia Pingan. His heart quivered, and he hurriedly had the servant take Xia Pingan to the Xiang room behind the front hall. Xia Pingan didn't wait for 2 minutes in the secret room before Lan Wuwei arrived. As soon as Lan Wuwei entered the secret room, he stared at Xia Pingan with a serious gaze and asked straightforwardly, "What's the matter with you? Why is the police looking for you? Did you kill the young master of the Sun family?" Chapter 210. Xia Pingan ignored Lan Wuwei. Instead, In front of Lan Wu-wei, he slowly took off his wig and the beard that was stuck on his face, revealing his original face bit by bit. Xia Pinggan didn't use the ability of the mask. Instead, he changed his appearance to meet Lan Wu-wei through the means of makeup. That strange mask was one of his trump cards for survival in Shangjing City. He didn't want to expose it for no reason. Putting on a wig, sticking on a fake beard, making his skin a bit darker, and wearing a tattered shirt, no one could recognize Xia Pinggan in the middle of the night. Until now, Lan Wu-wei and the Judgment Army still didn't know that he had changed his identity. Xia Pinggan was very clear about his current status and situation. He was just a small chess piece with potential in the Judgment Army's Shadow Squad. The Judgment Army and the Shadow Squad didn't have too much resources and energy to pay attention to him. The Yamen in Shangjing City is too lawless. I was almost killed by the son of the Sun family this time. You still ask me why the Sun family wanted me? Xia Pinggan stared at Lan Wu-wei with dissatisfaction. His tone became bitterly cold as he directly scolded. I'm a member of the Judgment Army and the Shadow Squad. I was chased like a dog outside and was in a precarious situation. I was almost killed by a group of people in Shangjing City. In order to complete the task, I didn't expose my identity even at the most dangerous time. You still ask me what's going on? Didn't the Judgment Army investigate what the warrant for my arrest was about? Or is it that the Judgment Army can't even handle the Yamen of the Sun family? It's really disappointing that they can't even protect a Shadow Squad. Seeing that Xia Pinggan was angry, Lan Wu-wei frowned slightly. He patiently sat down in front of Xia Pinggan and softened his tone a little. The police and the Judgment Army in Shangjing City are two different systems. They don't belong to each other. The relationship here is very complicated. I just found out that you were wanted yesterday and haven't reported your situation yet. I was just waiting for you to explain. Sun Hao from the Sun family is missing and may have been killed. The police suspect that you're related to this. According to the people of the Sun family, the son of the Sun family had a conflict with you before, so the police issued a warrant for your arrest. What's going on? I met that Sun Hao for the first time at the Tianyuan Bridge night market a few days ago. I saw a realm pearl that could summon the 1,000 illusion child and bought it first. Later, that Sun Hao came and knew that I had a realm pearl that could summon the 1,000 illusion child. He wanted to buy it from me at the original price. Damn, who does he think he is? I didn't like him and didn't want to sell it to him. That night, he asked the police to search for me in the night market and put a charge on me. Later, I managed to escape from the Tianyuan Bridge night vision. Damn, I didn't expect that Shangjing City would be so chaotic that a young master of the Sun family could mobilize the police to arrest a summoner at will. Xia Pinggan told the story of his conflict with Sun Hao bit by bit. At that time, I didn't think too much about it. After leaving Tianyuan Bridge night market, I returned to the small apartment I rented. I didn't expect that when I was sleeping in the middle of the night, a large number of bounty hunters and police officers suddenly found my place and wanted to kill me. After I fought with those people, I escaped with great difficulty. These few days, I've been hiding in Shangjing City and inexplicably became a wanted criminal. That Sun Hao's disappearance has nothing to do with me. Xia Pinggan would never admit to Sun Hao's matter. Anyway, no one knew about it, and there was no evidence to prove that he did it. Although the Judgment Army was powerful, it was impossible for them to know everything that happened in Shangjing. If the Judgment Army really knew everything, there wouldn't be so many people from the Blood Demon Church who could hide in Shangjing to plan big moves. If he denied that he had anything to do with Sun Hao's disappearance, no one would think that he had obtained the strange mask on Sun Hao's body. Lan Wu-wei stared at Xia Pinggan and frowned even deeper. Sun Hao's disappearance really has nothing to do with you? How could it have anything to do with me? After we parted at the night market, I didn't see him again. I escaped from the apartment, and a large number of summoners and police were chasing after me. It's already good that I was able to keep my life. How would I know where Sun Hao is? A person like him must have bodyguards or something around him. I was running for my life, and I still had the ability to make him disappear immediately. Aren't you thinking too highly of me? You can ask the Judgment Army to investigate and see when Sun Hao went missing. See if I was running for my life at that time. By the way, I saw that the 2 bounty hunters that Sun Hao arranged to hunt me down that night were also on the wanted list. What's going on? Why are they also wanted? Those 2 bounty hunters were the ones that Sun Hao arranged to chase after you. Lan Wei raised his eyebrows and asked with some surprise. Previously, he thought that those 2 people were people that Xia Pinggan knew. He didn't expect that those 2 people were actually the ones who chased after Xia Pinggan. This was interesting. Sun Hao used a lot of police officers to chase after me that night. Those 2 bounty hunters were working together with the police. You can go and investigate. Could it be that the people Sun Hao and I arranged to kill Sun Hao together? That's too ridiculous. Xia Pinggan said directly. A piece of trash like Sun Hao has offended countless people in Shangjing City. It's normal for someone to want to take care of him. It's just that I was unlucky and happened to run into him. The wanted poster of the Shangjing City Police is simply illogical and contradictory. I'll find out. Lan Wei nodded. Can you ask the police to remove my wanted poster first? If I'm wanted all the time, I won't be able to show up in public. It's too inconvenient. Lan Wei thought about it and said slowly, I just told you that the situation in Shangjing City is very complicated. The Judgment Army and the police are not in the same system. The 2 sides are mutually restraining each other to a certain extent. If the Judgment Army helps you remove your wanted poster, it will make people doubt your identity. Your identity as a shadow guard may be exposed. You being wanted now actually has a benefit. Benefit? What benefit? As a wanted criminal, when you get close to the Blood Demon Church, the Blood Demon Church will not doubt your identity. Xia Pinggan was not surprised by Lan Wuwei's statement. This result was exactly as he had acted out. Sure enough, for Lan Wuwei and the Judgment Army, the greatest value of his existence was that he could infiltrate the Blood Demon Church and help them eradicate the Blood Demon Church's hidden personnel in Shangjing City. The safety of a small person like him was actually insignificant. He was just a small screw in the huge, violent machine of the Judgment Army and the Shadow Guard. Seeing Xia Pinggan's unhappy face, Lan Wuwei continued to comfort him and solemnly said, Don't worry. If you're really caught, we will definitely find a way to protect you. We won't really let you take the blame for Sun Hao. It's just that at that time, your identity may be exposed. So, unless it's absolutely necessary, your identity as a shadow guard must not be exposed. Speaking of this, Lan Wuwei seemed to have thought of something again. By the way, you just said that you obtained a realm pearl of the illusionary child. Has that realm pearl been integrated? Not yet. Xia Pinggan shook his head. Can the Judgment Army provide me with a divine thoughts crystal that has integrated with the realm pearl of the illusionary child? Is a little compensation? Lan Wuwei stared at Xia Pinggan and suddenly laughed. Do you know what you're talking about? The divine thoughts crystal of the illusionary child. Even Sir Baizhu may not be able to get it. That thing can only be found by chance. If there was such a thing, it would have been used by the Judgment Army long ago. In the entire Judgment Army, there's only one summoner who can summon the illusionary child. That summoner is responsible for the safety of the Imperial City and has a heavy responsibility. If I could get that thing, would I still be here guarding the pawn shop? Speaking of the Imperial City, I have come across a piece of information in the past few days. I don't know if it's useful. Xia Pinggan began to throw out his bait. What information? A few days ago, did His Highness the Crown Prince enter the underground city and test the power of the 400mm cannon that the Great Shang Kingdom recently obtained from the Great Ting Kingdom of the Mujiao State? Moreover, His Highness the Crown Prince has secretly arranged for some institutions and factories in the Great Shang Kingdom to prepare to imitate the production. Lan Wuwei was slightly stunned, and then his face completely changed. His eyes flashed, because he didn't know the information that Xia Pinggan had just revealed. The whereabouts of His Highness the Crown Prince when he entered the underground city, the technology of the 400mm cannon that the Great Shang Kingdom obtained from the Great Ting Kingdom, and His Highness the Crown Prince was secretly preparing to produce the 400mm cannon. All these information were top secrets of the Great Shang Kingdom. Even he couldn't access this information at his level. How did Xia Pinggan know about it? How did you know? Lan Wuwei immediately asked. I came into contact with a person in the past few days. That person told me. Who is that person? That person is very mysterious. When I came into contact with him, he was wrapped in a cloud of black fog. I don't know who he is. I found that he might have already known my identity in the Judgment Army and deliberately revealed this information to me. Lan Wuwei frowned tightly. Why did he reveal this information to you? He wants to make an exchange with me. When he told me this information, he said that it was just a greeting gift to prove the truth of his words. If this information is useful, he is willing to tell me the identity of a member of the Blood Demon Church hidden in Shangjing City. The premise is that I have enough resources to exchange with him. Hearing the words Blood Demon Church, Lan Wuwei couldn't sit still anymore. He immediately stood up. What does that person want? Immortals spring from the One Sun realm to the Four Sun realm, and 20,000 gold coins in gold notes. Xiaopinggan said what he wanted without even blinking. Those members of the Blood Demon Church who gathered on the cruise ship last night would never have imagined that Xiaopinggan could sell them like pigs in the blink of an eye. Chapter 211. The condition that Xiaopinggan had just proposed was a condition that the Judgment Army might accept after thinking about it for an entire night. If he had reported all the holy springs from the One Sun realm to the Nine Sun realm, plus a few 100,000 gold coins, which would make the Judgment Army feel the pinch, this deal would not have been possible. If he had reported too little, it would not match the value of this information. A member of the Blood Demon Church hidden in Shangjing City in exchange for a few holy springs and 20,000 gold coins. Xiaopinggan believed that the higher-ups would want to try this price after they knew about it. Even if they were cheated in the end, the loss would not be great. Lan Wuwei was not an idiot. He was in charge of contacting Xiaopinggan and the Shadow Squad, which also proved his ability. When Xiaopinggan mentioned the illusory child and the information related to the Crown Prince and the Blood Demon Church, a thought flashed through Lan Wuwei's mind. Could it be that Xiaopinggan had integrated with the illusory child's realm pearl, and then, however, this thought only flashed through his mind and was immediately rejected by Lan Wuwei. Even if Xiaopinggan had integrated with the illusory child's realm pearl, there was an expert beside the Crown Prince, and the illusory child could not get close to him. Furthermore, the Crown Prince should have arrived in the underground city a few days ago. At that time, Xiaopinggan had not obtained the illusory child's realm pearl. Therefore, this information could not have been discovered by Xiaopinggan. Furthermore, even if Xiaopinggan could summon the illusory child did not have the ability to actively identify the identity of a member of the Blood Demon Church. Xiaopinggan could not have immediately found a member of the Blood Demon Church after integrating with the realm pearl. If a member of the Blood Demon Church could be found so easily, there would definitely be no place for them in the entire Shangjing City. In summary, the information that Xiaopinggan brought was of great value and had to be taken seriously. The resources required for the condition you just mentioned have already exceeded the upper limit of the resources I can mobilize with my authority. I also have those holy springs in my pawn shop. I have to ask my superiors for advice. Lan Wuwei said immediately. Okay. Xiaopinggan nodded. If the higher-ups agree, how will the exchange be carried out? Give me the item, and I'll give it to that person. That person will tell me the information, and I'll send the information back. You'll be the middleman? Yes, that person doesn't seem to want to have direct contact with the Judgment Army. I guess it's because I'm too weak, so he's more at ease with me. How do you find that person? I can't find him. As long as I leave this place, he will come and find me. Wait here for a moment. After Lan Wuwei finished speaking, he left the room through the secret passage, leaving Xiaopinggan in the room. Xiaopinggan waited patiently in the room. After leaving the Xiang room, Lan Wuwei came to his study through the secret passage. He took out a brush and ink and wrote quickly. Soon, he had written a piece of paper, rolled it up, and put it in a small bamboo tube. After doing this, Lan Wuwei pushed open the window of the study. Mist flashed in his hand, and a dark green egg was summoned. In the blink of an eye, the egg broke open, and a dark green bird came out of the egg. It stood on his palm and jumped around. The dark green bird ate the eggshell, and its body grew in the wind. It became the size of sparrow. Its whole body was dark green, and it was very agile. Lan Wei picked up the small bamboo tube in his hand. The dark green bird swallowed the small bamboo tube and flapped its wings, making a slight buzzing sound. With a buzz, it flew out of the window of the study as fast as lightning and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After leaving the study, Lan Wei continued to the front hall of the pawn shop. More than 40 minutes later, a customer came to the fearless house. That customer said that he wanted to pawn his family heirloom. Lan Wei led the customer to another secret room. Less than a minute after the customer left, Lan Wei appeared in the Xiang room again and saw Xia Ping gone. Lan Wei moved his hand, and a small wooden box appeared in his hand. He placed the box on the table in front of Xia Ping. Everything is here. Xia Ping opened the box and took a look. There were 4 bottles of different radiance in the box. The contents of the 4 bottles were the holy spring from the 1 sun realm to the 4 sun realm. In addition to these 4 bottles, there were 20 gold notes with a face value of 1,000 each in the alley. Xia Ping nodded and put the box into his spatial warehouse. After that person takes the items and completes the transaction, I'll come to you again. You can tell that person that the Blood Demon Church is our mortal enemy. We don't care who he is or how he obtained the information. As long as the information he provides is accurate and can help us eliminate the members of the Blood Demon Church hiding in Shangjing City and the Great Shang Nation, we can continue this transaction in the future. Okay. Xia Ping nodded and put on his wig again. After fixing his beard, he left the secret room. 20,000 gold coins and 4 holy springs were in his hands. As long as he grasped the key information and could make use of the situation reasonably, everything was that simple. The wealth and resources that ordinary people could not hope to obtain in their lifetime came just like that. Xia Ping walked out of the fearless house and came to the alley outside. Everything was normal in the alley. There were not many people. Only the entrance of the brothel, with red lanterns hanging in the distance, was still lively. This was not a transaction between the mysterious person and the Judgment Army, but between Xia Ping and the Judgment Army. The Judgment Army had become Xia Ping's information channel. Was the transaction completed? Of course not. If everything was so easy and the transaction was completed, it would be an insult to the ability of the Judgment Army and the intelligence of the big shots above. A mysterious person who knew the whereabouts of His Highness the Crown Prince and the secrets of the Shang Nation, as well as the hidden members of the Blood Demon Church in Shangjing City. It was impossible for the big shots not to dig that person out. Although the item was in his hands, he could not use it now. Although everything was normal and Xia Ping did not find anything unusual, Xia Ping knew that he must have been targeted by the experts of the Judgment Army. Xia Ping walked to the other side of the box, just like how he came. However, with a thought, the lively and cute child of fortune wearing a red tutu suddenly appeared beside him. The child of fortune first jumped onto Xia Ping's shoulder and looked around. In the next second, the child of fortune's figure flashed and disappeared from Xia Ping's shoulder. The child of fortune jumped into the shadow of a park not far from the alley. He sat on a person's head in the shadow of the void and pointed below his butt. There was nothing under the child of fortune's butt. There was no one at all, but Xia Ping's heart jumped slightly. He knew that the child of fortune had found a person who could be invisible. Invisibility without any aura. This ability was too abnormal. Xia Ping continued to walk outside. In the next second, the child of fortune jumped up from the ground and appeared in the sky. Xia Ping's perspective suddenly appeared in the sky. A gray goshawk was hovering in the sky, thousands of meters above the ground. Its sharp eyes looked down at the city below. The child of fortune was riding on the back of the gray goshawk. He once again pointed at the head of the gray goshawk. It was also following him. Such goshawks could be seen in the sky of Shangjing City at any time. Moreover, there were a lot of them. They would not attract attention at all. When Xia Ping walked out of the 100 Spirits Alley, the child of fortune jumped onto the back of an unremarkable warrior on the street. That warrior was about 300 meters away from Xia Ping. He was hanging on the street, following Xia Pingan from afar. Wherever Xia Pingan went, the downtrodden warrior would follow. The transparent person without any aura would also follow. The gray goshawk in the sky would also fly high above. If it wasn't for the Child of Fortune, Xia Pingan would not have noticed that he was being watched by so many pairs of eyes. In the night, Xia Pingan was like a vagrant. He walked through half of Shangjing City on his feet. After a few hours, he finally arrived at the southern outskirts of Shangjing City, where there were not many people. He crawled under a bridge and skillfully found a shelter from the wind. He picked up a dirty and tattered quilt from the ground and covered himself with it. Then, he fell asleep. It was very normal for a wanted criminal who could not expose his identity to become a vagrant and sleep under a bridge. As for those pairs of eyes staring at him, let them stare. Xia Pingan was a vagrant under the bridge for 2 days. On the morning of the 3rd day, Xia Pingan once again came to the Fearless House. In the same secret room, Xia Pingan took out the wooden box that Lan Wuwei gave him 2 days ago and placed it in front of Lan Wuwei. Everything is inside. It hasn't been touched. What do you mean? Did you not complete the deal? Lan Wuwei asked with a frown. As I said before, that person probably doesn't want to deal with the Judgment Army. So he chose to use me to make a deal with the Judgment Army, because my strength is low, which makes people feel at ease. It has already been 2 days, and that person hasn't appeared again. But this morning, I suddenly heard a voice in my ear. That person said that he didn't like the 3 pairs of eyes staring at me. So this deal is off. It seems that the higher-ups don't trust me and sent people to follow me to find that person. The people sent by the higher-ups were probably discovered by that person, so I really can't complete this deal. If that person thinks that I'm plotting against him, wouldn't I be courting death? Please find someone else. Xia Pingan's expression was cold. Lan Wuwei was obviously flustered. He hurriedly stopped Xia Pingan and said, "Don't be agitated, don't be agitated. I really didn't know that someone was following you. It's probably an arrangement made by the higher-ups out of concern for your safety. Wait here for a moment. I'll go and confirm it." Xia Pingan waited in the room. After more than half an hour, Lan Wuwei came in again with a guilty look. Ahem, the higher-ups have withdrawn all the people protecting you. They won't send people to follow you anymore. This time, that person should be able to make a deal with you without any worries. Chapter 2:12. After listening to Lan Wuwei's words, Xia Pingan nodded slowly, but his face was still cold. I know that the higher-ups want to know the identity of that mysterious man, but I hope that the next time they send someone to monitor me, they can let me know so that I can be mentally prepared. I won't be kept in the dark like this time. If that person thinks that I'm deliberately luring him into a trap, have you thought about my personal safety? I'm only a one-sun realm summoner now, and that mysterious man is much stronger than me. If he takes revenge on me, can I still survive? Ahem. Lan Wuwei's face was a little embarrassed. The Shadow Squad is like this. They're always taking on dangerous missions. To be honest, I didn't know that the higher-ups sent someone to monitor you. I'm not responsible for these missions. They probably didn't tell you or me that those people watching you are actually protecting you indirectly. Protecting me? Xia Pingan laughed at himself. Thank you very much. I didn't know that a one-sun realm summoner like me could be secretly protected by a few experts. Now that the mysterious man knows about my relationship with the Judgment Army, I can't continue the mission to get close to the Blood Demon Church. If I infiltrate the Blood Demon Church, my life will be in the hands of that person, and my life will be controlled by others. If he's in a bad mood one day and reveals my identity to the Blood Demon Church, I'll definitely die. The higher-ups have already considered this point. Since your identity has been known by others, it's not suitable for you to infiltrate the Blood Demon Church. It's not good for you and the Judgment Army, and you can be easily used by others. We will arrange for other Shadow Squad to continue the mission of infiltrating the Blood Demon Church. Your main task now is to get close to that person and keep in touch with him. Once there is any news from that person, you must let us know as soon as possible. Lan Wuwei said seriously. Since there's no need for me to infiltrate the Blood Demon Church, shouldn't my arrest warrant be canceled? If it's not canceled, I can't continue to appear in public in Shangjing City. I can only continue to hide. That's not a good life. We have already investigated the situation that night. Indeed, as he said, it was Sun Hao who was causing trouble from the beginning to the end. Before he disappeared, he had just gotten into a very unpleasant situation with the bounty hunters he hired. At that time, you were still being hunted. There was no evidence to prove that it was you who did it. Those two bounty hunters are very suspicious. Wait a few days. The ruling army will find a way to revoke your arrest warrant. This was good news. Xia Pinggan heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. All right, then I'll wait for your news. As soon as Xia Pinggan walked out of the Fearless House in 100 Spirits Alley, he called Child of Fortune out again. Child of Fortune appeared out of thin air, swinging his legs as he sat on Xia Pinggan's shoulder. His head looked around until Xia Pinggan left the bustling downtown area of Shangjing City. Only then did he shake his head at Xia Pinggan. Xia Pinggan was finally relieved. In order to obtain the most important information, the Judgment Army decisively gave up monitoring him. Compared to figuring out the identity of the mysterious man, it was more important for the Judgment Army to dig out the members of the Blood Demon Church hidden in Shangjing City. In the eyes of the higher-ups of the Judgment Army, the mysterious man should also be an enemy of the Blood Demon Church, but he did not completely trust the Shang Kingdom. Therefore, he chose Xia Pinggan, a weak member of the Shadow Guard, to communicate with the Judgment Army. On the one hand, he wanted to use the Judgment Army to eliminate the members of the Blood Demon Church. On the other hand, he wanted to gain benefits and resources from the Judgment Army without exposing his identity. The mysterious man was very cunning and cautious. Moreover, his secret techniques were strange and unpredictable. He could even discover the experts and arrangements that were watching Xia Pinggan. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons in Shangjing City, and experts from various forces gathered there. A person with such thoughts and abilities was probably not a nobody. Let's see if the information from the mysterious man is reliable. This should be the understanding of the higher-ups of the Judgment Army about the mysterious man. After Xia Pinggan's performance of loosening the reins only to grasp them better, he had successfully made the higher-ups of the Judgment Army believe in the existence of the mysterious man. They were all waiting expectantly for Xia Pinggan's information. At this point, the Holy Spring and the gold notes of 20,000 gold coins were officially in Xia Pinggan's pocket. Since he was not being watched, Xia Pinggan became a free man again. He could follow the plan step by step. At night, when the lanterns were lit, Xia Pinggan, who was dressed in luxurious clothes, changed into the appearance of Yang City again. He took a rental carriage to the night market of Tianyuan Bridge. Sir, we have arrived at the King Peng Auction House. The coachman opened the door for Xia Pinggan, and the magnificent door of the King Peng Auction House appeared in front of Xia Pinggan. Okay, thank you. Keep the change. Thank you, thank you. Xia Pinggan got out of the carriage and took out a few silver coins to pay the fare. Then, he walked toward the door of the King Peng Auction House while the coachman thanked him. There were many luxurious four-wheeled carriages parked in the square outside the King Peng Auction House. It was much livelier than when Xia Pinggan came 3 days ago. When the carriage passed by Carefree Restaurant in the night market, Xia Pinggan looked out of the window. There were still many people queuing outside Master Shuyue's Carefree Restaurant, waiting for Master Shuyue to interpret their dreams. The business was booming. Tonight, the King Peng Auction House would be auctioning the Dream Master's Realm Pearl. Xia Pinggan was determined to get the Dream Master's Realm Pearl. After showing the auction ticket that he had purchased 3 days ago, Xia Pinggan entered the auction house and followed the signboard to the auction house's Earth-ranked auction hall. The Dream Master's Realm Pearl would be auctioned in the Earth Auction Hall tonight. Other than the Earth Auction Hall, the King Peng Auction House also had the Heaven Auction Hall and the God Auction Hall. It was just that the two auction halls at the back were more high-end. Only the high-end customers of the auction house were qualified to participate in the auction. The items in the Earth Auction Hall were relatively more ordinary. However, the auction ticket that cost 5 gold coins was enough to keep most of the ordinary people at the door. The Earth Auction Hall was like a huge conference hall. At the front of the shell-shaped hall was the auction stage. The surrounding seats were arranged from the highest to the lowest, all the way to the auction stage. The entire hall could seat about 2,000 people. Those who entered the auction hall would receive a bidding card at the door. Everyone would then find a seat in the hall according to the number on the bidding card and take a seat. Xiao Pingan received a bidding card with the number 1569 and sat in the middle of the hall towards the back. He then waited patiently for the auction to begin. There was a constant stream of people entering the auction hall. There were both men and women. Looking at the appearance of those who entered the auction hall, they were all summoners with some background or wealthy people in the capital. Some of them were here to broaden their horizons. Some of them had a very clear goal. After Xiao Pingan waited for more than 10 minutes, almost 80% of the people in the hall were seated. There were whispers in the hall, and it was very lively. At 8:30 p.m., a silver-haired old man in a black tuxedo walked up to the auction stage from the backstage. He bowed slightly to the people in the auction hall, and the entire auction hall quickly quieted down. Hello, everyone. I will be the host for tonight's auction in the Earth Auction Hall of the Rock King Auction House. Tonight's auctioneer is a summoner. I see that everyone can't wait any longer, so let's not waste everyone's time. Let's start directly. The old man was very experienced. As soon as he got on the stage, he said a few words and went straight to the point. The first item to be auctioned today is the Foundation Establishment Realm Beads for 10 groups of summoners. There are a total of 30 beads. As the auctioneer began to speak, a slide projection of a photo appeared on the snow-white curtain wall behind the old man. Although the projected photo wasn't as vivid and couldn't be compared to the modern projectors on Earth, the content and words in the photo were completely displayed. It could be seen at a glance by the people in the auction hall. What was projected was 30 Foundation Establishment Realm beads arranged neatly in groups of 3. The starting price for these 10 groups of Foundation Establishment Realm beads is 3,000 gold coins. Each time a card is raised, the price will be raised by 50 gold coins. Now, everyone can bid. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, someone in the auction hall began to raise their cards. Many of the people participating in this auction were representatives of certain families or organizations. These Foundation Establishment Realm beads could be used to cultivate summoners, so they were naturally very popular. Xiao Pingan didn't move. He just watched. In the end, the first group of 10 groups of Foundation Establishment Realm beads was auctioned off for 4,750 gold coins after a few rounds of bidding. After the first set of Foundation Establishment Realm beads was auctioned, the next 4 items were all Foundation Establishment Realm beads. The first 3 items were sold in 10 sets of 30 Foundation Establishment Realm beads, while the last one was sold in 5 sets of 15 Foundation Establishment Realm beads. The price of each of the first 3 Foundation Establishment Realm beads was around 4,750 gold coins. The price of the last one was 2,450 gold coins. After these Foundation Establishment Realm beads were auctioned off, the atmosphere in the auction hall gradually heated up. The next few items that were auctioned off in succession were all groups of the same type of relatively common realm beads. Each group had a maximum of 10 beads and a minimum of 5 beads. For example, the slave soldier realm bead that Xiao Pingan had fused with the realm bead that the countryman had rioted, and the more common realm beads that were waiting for rabbits were all auctioned off in groups here. After these realm beads were sold off, some relatively rare realm beads and spiritual force crystals gradually began to appear. The bidding for these realm beads and spiritual force crystals in the auction hall became more and more intense. People kept raising their cards, and many realm beads and spiritual force crystals were sold off at several times the starting price. Xiao Pingan didn't make a move and waited patiently. Finally, after more than an hour of the auction, the Dream Master Realm bead that Xiao Pingan had been waiting for appeared. As the lights of the projector on the auction stage changed, a colorful picture of the realm bead appeared on the screen. Xiao Pingan looked at the realm bead and saw the words Tang Taizong dreamt of Shui Reng floating on the realm bead. This is a very famous Dream Master Realm bead. The auctioneer on the auction stage began to explain, everyone should have heard of this realm bead. This realm bead is a twin realm bead. Not only can the person who successfully fused with this realm bead become a dream master, he can also summon the brave and invincible white-robed god general. In the records of our auction house, the person who successfully fuses with this realm bead will obtain at least 85 points of god power. The starting price of this realm bead is 3,000 gold coins. Each bid must be at least 200 gold coins. You can bid now. As the auctioneer finished speaking, a few signs were raised in the auction hall. In a blink of an eye, the price of the realm bead had reached above 4,000 gold coins. Xia Pingon raised his card a few times, but in the blink of an eye, the price he raised was overtaken by others. F***CK. Xia Pingon didn't expect the competition for this Dream Master realm bead to be so intense. Xia Pingon raised his card for the 5th time. The price of this realm bead had already reached 7,000 gold coins, causing a slight commotion in the auction hall. 7,000 gold coins was definitely a huge sum of money. Just as Xia Pingon gritted his teeth and was about to raise his card for the 8th time, a cold voice suddenly sounded in the auction hall. I bid 10,000 gold coins. I wish everyone a happy May Day. There's one more chapter tonight. Chapter 213. When Xia Pingon raised his paddle for the 7th time, the price of this Tang Taizong dreamt of Shui Ringu Realm Summoning Pearl had already exceeded 7,800 gold coins. To be honest, the price had already exceeded Xia Pingon's expectations. Initially, Xia Pingon thought that a realm pearl of a dream master could be obtained with at most 4,000 to 5,000 gold coins. He did not expect this realm pearl to be sold for such a high price. Xia Pingon gritted his teeth as he increased the price. This was because the temptation of this realm pearl was too great. Once it was integrated, other than becoming a dream master, he could also obtain the summoning position of the white-robed general. This temptation was irresistible to Xia Pingon. The white-robed general that the auctioneer mentioned should be Shui Ringue. Xia Pingon was also very familiar with the legend of Tang Taizong dreamt of Shui Ringue. Hence, it was easy for him to integrate it. But, in this auction, the rich were the lords. The person who shouted 10,000 gold coins was sitting in front of the auction house. This bid was higher than the previous one by 2,200 gold coins. 10,000 gold coins for a realm pearl had directly broken through the psychological bottom line of many people. Xia Pingon looked at the bidder and saw that the bidder was a black-clothed old man with a cold face. There was silence in the auction hall. After the old man made his bid, he stood up and looked around. He blew at his beard and took out a thick stack of gold notes. He lifted his head and continued. Our young master has just obtained the spiritual crystal of the Dream Master's Realm Pearl. Hence, our young master is determined to get the Dream Master's Realm Pearl today. I have 100,000 gold notes with me. If anyone wants to compete with me, please do not hesitate to name your price. We can all compete. Looking at the arrogant old man, Xia Pingon fell silent and quickly assessed the situation in his heart. He did not know the identity of the old man, but the young master behind the old man was definitely not an ordinary person if he could get a servant or subordinate to bring 100,000 gold coins to auction off a realm pearl. He only had slightly more than 20,000 gold coins with him. Using 20,000 gold coins to buy a realm pearl was too much of a loss. It was definitely not worth it to him. Furthermore, after raising the auction price of the realm pearl, he would not be able to obtain the realm pearl. At the same time, he would also provoke an unknown enemy. This transaction was too much of a loss. It was completely harming others without benefiting himself. After assessing the situation in his heart, Xia Pingon shook his head and wisely chose to give up. The other people who were vying for the realm bead earlier were no fools. After assessing the situation, they gave up one by one. After waiting for a few seconds, the auctioneer on the stage began to speak. Is there anyone else who is willing to bid higher? If not, then 3, 2, 1. The auctioneer knocked the wooden gavel on the stage. Congratulations to buyer number 112. This Dream Master Twin Realm Pearl is yours. After hearing the sound, the auctioneer of the Realm Pearl, Xia Pingon, smiled bitterly and felt a little disappointed. Damn it. He did not expect it to be so difficult to bid for a Dream Master's Realm Pearl. It seemed like he could not do it this time. He would have to find another opportunity in the future. In the next 20 minutes, a few more Realm Pearls were auctioned off in the auction house. Following that, a few spiritual sense crystals were auctioned off. Xiao Pingan did not make a move. The spiritual sense crystals were useless to him, and the Realm Pearls in the auction house were priced very high. To Xiao Pingan, who had limited funds, it was not the most cost-effective choice. Hence, he gave up on it. Just when Xiao Pingan thought that he would not get anything from this auction, a lady walked up to the stage and whispered a few words to the auctioneer. Following that, she left the stage. Let me tell everyone a piece of news. Our auction house has just received a commission from a client. That client is a bounty hunter, and he has just obtained a Dream Master's Realm Pearl from the sea. As that client is in urgent need of money, our auction house has decided to add a Dream Master's Realm Pearl to the auction house. As for the information about the Realm Pearl, please look at the screen beside me. Following the auctioneer's introduction, another Realm Pearl appeared on the screen. Looking at the dark red Realm Pearl, Xiao Pingan was shocked. This was because on the new Dream Master's Realm Pearl, there were 4 words in Xiaoruan. Yan Ing interprets dreams. Among the many Dream Master's Realm Pearls, this Realm Pearl is rather special. Those who are familiar with Dream Master's Realm Pearls should know that this Realm Pearl has another name, the Death Dream Master's Realm Pearl. It is one of the most dangerous Dream Master's Realm Pearls, and it is not as famous as the Twin Dream Master's Realm Pearl. At the same time, the mortality rate of fusing with this Realm Pearl is extremely high and is the highest among all the Dream Master's Realm Pearls. Without the corresponding spiritual wool crystal, the mortality rate of fusing with this Realm Pearl is as high as 35%, and the success rate is extremely low. Till now, we know that the successful cases of fusing with this Realm Pearl were all done with spiritual wool crystals. The auctioneer on the stage introduced the Realm Pearl in a very serious manner. With the auctioneer's introduction, Xiao Pingan immediately understood. The historical Yan Ing, also known as Yan Zi, was famous for helping Qi Jinggong resolve his dreams twice. The most dangerous dream he had resolved was the dream he had resolved during Qi Jinggong's expedition to the Song Kingdom. At that time, Yan had gone with the army. If the dream he had resolved wasn't correct, the Qi Kingdom's army in Yanzi would have been finished. This should also be the reason for the high mortality rate after the Realm Pearl's fusion failed. The starting bid for this Dream Master's Realm Pearl is 1,500 gold coins. Each bid increment must not be lower than 50 gold coins. The auction starts now. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, Xiao Pingan started to raise his paddle. Compared to the twin Realm Pearl of Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty Shui Rengui, this Realm Pearl of Yin Ying's dream interpretation had a high death rate and an extremely low success rate. It was obvious that the popularity of this Realm Pearl of Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty Shui was not very good. Many of the bidders who were chasing after the twin Realm Pearl of Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty Shui Rengui only raised their paddles a few times before losing interest in this Realm Pearl. After Xiao Pingan raised his paddle a few times, the price of this Realm Pearl of the Dream Master's Realm Pearl was raised to 2,650 gold coins by Xiao Pingan. 2,650 gold coins. Is there anyone who wants to go higher? Is there anyone who wants to go higher? The auctioneer on the stage looked at the person who raised his paddle to 2,600 gold coins. That person hesitated for a moment and did not raise his paddle in the end. 3, 2, 1 pa. Congratulations to auctioneer 1569 for obtaining this Realm Pearl of the Dream Master's Realm Pearl at 2,650 gold coins. Hearing the sound of the wooden mallet on the auction stage, Xiao Pingan finally heaved a sigh of relief. 2,650 gold coins. This number was considered exaggerated. It was the most expensive Realm Pearl that Xiao Pingan had ever bought. The price of this Realm Pearl of the Dream Master's Realm Pearl was indeed a little too expensive. But luckily, he obtained it. 20 minutes later, the auction ended. Xiao Pingan used his admission ticket and went to the auction house's checkout counter. After paying 2,650 gold coins, he obtained the Realm Pearl of the Dream Master's Realm Pearl. Walking out of the Rock King auction house, the night market outside was still bustling with activity. Using 2,650 gold coins to obtain this Realm Pearl was more or less enough. Xiao did not want to spend more money and attract more attention. Hence, after walking out of the auction house, he stood by the roadside and prepared to hail a taxi to return to his rented courtyard. He wanted to integrate with this Realm Pearl and become a Dream Master first. "Mister, please wait for a moment." Hurried footsteps and a man's voice could be heard from behind. Xiao turned around and saw a fat man in his 40s who was panting as he chased after him. That fat man was dressed in shiny clothes and had two beautiful mustaches above his lips. He even wore a pair of gold-rimmed spectacles and looked like a respectable businessman. "Are you calling me?" Xiao turned around and asked. "My name is Lu Lingjie." That man smiled and took out a pure silver business card box. He took out a gold-stamped business card and passed it to Xiao Xiao took a look at the business card. The name Lu Lingjie was printed on the business card. At the same time, it also showed his identity, the shopkeeper of Fu and Broker. A broker was an intermediary company. But what was this Fu and Broker for? Xiao was puzzled. Lu Lingjie smiled. "Just now in the auction house, I saw this Mr. raising his sign to auction a Realm Pearl of a Dream Master. Does Mr. have plans to become a Dream Master in Shangjing City?" Xiao immediately became alert. "What does it have to do with you whether I become a Dream Master or not?" "Master, please don't misunderstand. I am actually a broker who serves the Dream Masters in the capital. You should know Master Shueyue from Carefree, right?" Master Shueyue was one of my earliest customers. I was the one who introduced him to his first customer. That Lu Lingjie started to explain to Xiao. "In Shangjing City, there are many people who want to rely on the Dream Master industry to earn money. Hence, the competition in the Dream Master industry is very intense. Mr. may not know this, but just in Tianyuan Bridge night market alone, there are more than 10 Dream Masters. However, the only one who really earns money is Master Shueyu. In other places in Shangjing City, there are many Dream Masters. If not 800, there are at least 500. However, there are not many who earn as much as Master Shueyu. For those Dream Masters who do not earn money, other than their own abilities in divination, most of them do not have customers. Especially those who are new to the industry. They are not well known, and it is even harder for them to earn money. If Mr. becomes a Dream Master, you can look for me, and I can introduce customers to you." After hearing what Lu Lingjie said, Xiao understood. So this Lu Lingjie was introducing customers to the Dream Masters in Shangjing City. It seemed that the dream divination business in Shangjing City had developed to a considerable scale. There was even a broker who brought in customers for the Dream Masters. "All right, if there is a need, I will look for you." Xiao kept the name card. When he saw a rental carriage coming to a stop, he did not chat much with Lu Lingjie. After which, he boarded the carriage and instructed the coachman to go to Changle Alley at the foot of Ping Mountain. On the way, the carriage passed by Carefree Restaurant once again. Looking at the queue of carriages in the small square outside Carefree Restaurant, Xiao was even more certain that being a Dream Master was a good way to earn money. After tonight, he would be able to integrate with this Yanning Dream Interpretation Realm Pearl and make a living in Shangjing City. Chapter 214. "Ah!" Qi Jinggong screamed and woke up from his dream. He sat on the bed, panting, and there was a trace of fear in his eyes. "Your Majesty!" Hearing Qi Jinggong's voice, the guards outside the tent rushed in. Looking at the numerous figures outside the tent and hearing the sound of armor rubbing against each other, Qi Jinggong, who was sitting on the bed, suddenly woke up completely. So it was just a dream? Qi Jinggong touched his forehead, which was already covered in cold sweat. The scene in his dream was really frightening. "I'm fine. What time is it now?" After calming himself down, Qi Jinggong asked the guards outside the tent. "Your Majesty, it's 5:15. The guards outside the tent replied. "I want to change my clothes," Qi Jinggong ordered. "Yes, Your Majesty." Following Qi Jinggong's order, the guards outside the tent got busy. They helped Qi Jinggong change his clothes and wash his face. After everything was done, Qi Jinggong walked out his tent, dressed neatly. The sky outside the tent had just lit up. The continuous military tents of the state of Qi were like a long dragon in front of Qi Jinggong's eyes. The army had already woken up and was preparing to cook. After breakfast, they would continue on their journey. The horses and carriages in the camp neighed, looking mighty and majestic. It was summer now, and the weather was cool. Qi Jinggong's army had already arrived at the foot of Mount Tai. The towering Mount Tai in the distance was exceptionally magnificent at sunrise. The scene of the state of Qi's powerful army calmed Qi Jinggong's heart. However, the dream last night was like a dark cloud shrouding Qi Jinggong's heart. Qi Jinggong frowned. The dream last night was too strange, and it gave him a fright. Now that he was leading the army on an expedition, would the dream have any bad omens? Thinking of this, Qi Jinggong ordered the guards beside him, "Call the dreamer here." "Yes, your majesty." In ancient times, the dreamer was someone the king would bring with him at all times. That was because all the kings and nobles believed that the dreamer could enlighten and predict the future. The Yellow Emperor dreamed of a strong wind blowing away all the dust in the world. He also dreamed of a man holding 1,000 caddies crossbow, driving away thousands of sheep. Then, according to the dream, he found the two famous ministers, Feng Ho and Li Mu. Finally, he defeated Qi Yu and unified the world. That was how the Dream Divination Sutra came to be. The Marquis of the West found the sage Jiang Shang after flying into the dream. With Jiang Zia, there was the Zhou dynasty. Therefore, this dream was not a small matter to the monarchs. It was a revelation from the heavens and the gods. Both good and bad were in it, and it had to be treated seriously. A moment later, the dream master who had set off with the army arrived at Qi Jinggong's tent. After paying his respects to Qi Jinggong sat behind the high table and slowly said, "Last night, I had a dream. In the dream, two grown men were glaring at me angrily and wanted to beat me up. What was the sign of this dream?" Qi Jinggong's dream master was an old man in his 60s. After hearing Qi Jinggong's dream, the dream master looked at Qi Jinggong's expression and thought for a moment before replying. "Your Majesty led the army to cross Mount Tai without offering sacrifices. The mountain god of Mount Tai is angry. Your Majesty, please prepare the offerings for the sacrifices and let the scholars go to Mount Tai to offer sacrifices to the mountain god. This way, you will be safe and sound." Hearing the dream master's words, Qi Jinggong heaved a sigh of relief. His expression relaxed, and he quickly ordered the army to set up camp and prepare offerings for Mount Tai. A moment later, an attendant reported outside Qi Jinggong's tent, "Your Majesty, the minister requests an audience." "Invite the minister in." "Yes." A moment later, the minister of Qi, Yanzi, walked into the tent. This Yanzi was naturally Xiaopinggan. He had just opened his eyes and walked out his tent when he saw that there were many people in the army of the state of Qi who were busy preparing livestock. When he asked, he found out that Qi Jinggong had ordered people to prepare sacrifices for Mount Tai. Xiaopinggan confirmed that it was indeed so. After that, he went to Qi Jinggong's tent and asked to see him. Yanzi was short and ugly. According to the standards of this era, he could only be described as ugly. If one didn't mention his identity, almost no one would believe that he was the minister of Qi. As soon as Xiaopinggan entered the tent and saw Qi Jinggong, he directly asked, "Your Majesty, I saw people preparing 3 sacrificial animals for Mount Tai. Several generals said that Your Majesty ordered the army to stay put for the time being and to move out after the sacrifice. May I know why Your Majesty suddenly gave such an order?" "I had a strange dream last night. In the dream, 2 men were angry at me and wanted to beat me up. The dream master said that the 2 men were the mountain gods of Mount Tai. Our army crossed Mount Tai without performing the necessary sacrifice, so the mountain gods of Mount Tai were angry. Just now, I sent people to summon the priest to perform the sacrifice. The army will rest at the foot of Mount Tai for a day and continue after the sacrifice. Hearing Qi Jinggong's words, Xia Pingon couldn't help but sigh at Yanzi's awesomeness. When ordinary people heard such a dream, how could they possibly understand it? But when Yanzi heard that Qi Jinggong had such a strange dream, he already knew that it was an omen. No wonder Yanzi had such a great reputation in the history of the state of Qi. The wisdom of these sages was simply unimaginable. After hearing Qi Jinggong's words, Xia Pingon thought about it and could only speak according to the script of history. If one wasn't familiar with history, no one would be able to fuse with this realm pearl. The Dream Master probably didn't know that the two men who appeared in Your Majesty's dream weren't the mountain gods of Mount Tai. They were the Song Kingdom's ancestor Tang and Yin. When Qi Jinggong heard Xia Pingon's words, his eyes widened in disbelief. How could it be Tang and Yin? The Dream Master said that they were the mountain gods of Mount Tai. I know how to read dreams too. Let me do it for Your Majesty. All right, go ahead. When Qi Jinggong heard that Yanning wanted to read his dream, he was also interested. Of the two men who appeared in Your Majesty's dream, one of them had very fair skin, was tall, had a beard, had a narrow head, a slightly curved body, and a loud voice. Qi Jinggong stared at Xia Pingon as though he had seen a ghost. And the other man in Your Majesty's dream was dark-skinned, short, and had unkempt hair. Qi Jinggong had already stood up. Even his voice had changed. How did you know the appearances of the two men in my dream? Qi Jinggong didn't even tell the Dream Master about the appearances of the two men in his dream. He was the only one who knew. How did Yanning know? The fair-skinned, bearded, and tall man was Tang. The dark-skinned, short, and unkempt hair was Yin. Why were the two of them in my dream? And why were they angry at me? Qi Jinggong asked in shock. Xia Pingon replied, Taijia, Wuding, and Zui are all famous Dao sovereign kings. Their descendants haven't reached their end yet and shouldn't end their line at this time. Now, their only descendant is the Song Kingdom. Since Your Majesty wants to attack the Song Kingdom, Tang and Yin are angry. This war is very inauspicious. Your Majesty, please return home. Qi Jinggong struggled for a moment. I've been preparing for this war for a long time. The three armies have already been mobilized. How can we give up halfway? The Dream Realm has already predicted that if Your Majesty insists on attacking the Song Kingdom, this war will not bode well for you. Please reconsider. Xia Pingon knew that Qi Jinggong still wouldn't listen to him and insisted on attacking the Song Kingdom. However, what he had just said had already taken root in Qi Jinggong's heart. Later on, according to historical records, Qi Jinggong led his army to attack the Song Kingdom. While he was still on the road, the Qi Kingdom's army started to break the general. Various mishaps occurred in the army one after another, causing the army's morale to plummet. Only then did Qi Jinggong remember the dream that Yanning had explained to him. Only then did he give up on attacking the Song Kingdom and quickly return home to avoid greater losses. If Yan Ying's dream interpretation was wrong and Qi Jinggong continued to attack the Song Kingdom, the consequences would be unpredictable. Yan Ying, who was following the army, might also be in trouble. Perhaps this was the reason why the death rate after the failed fusion of the Realm Pearl was so high. When Xia Pingon walked out of Qi Jinggong's tent, the world of the Realm Pearl had already shattered into light. When Xia Pingon broke through to the First Sun Realm a few days ago, the upper limit of his divine power in the secret mandala had already reached 649 points. 2 days ago, after fusing with the 5 Realm Pearls, his divine power had increased by another 317 points. Now, the upper limit of his divine power in the Xiaping and secret mandala had reached 966 points. After the fusion with the Realm Pearl that Yan Ying had explained the dream, the divine power in the Xiaping and secret mandala had increased by another 40 points. Now, the upper limit of his divine power in the Xiaping and secret mandala had finally broken through 1,000 points, reaching 1,006 points. He was only 464 points away from the 1,470 points required for the Two Sun Realm. As long as he could obtain a few more realm pearls, it would only be a matter of time before he reached the Two-Sun realm. As he looked at the little bit of divine power floating in the caisson in his temple, Xia Pingan felt a little excited. Indeed, coming to Shangjing City was the fastest way to increase one's strength. There was now an additional relief sculpture of Yin Ying in the temple. Qi Jinggong's dream realm appeared vividly on the sculpture. It was brightly colored. Qi Jinggong's dream realm was the spell slot of a dream master's essential skill, the dream-playing technique. Mastering the dream-playing technique was equivalent to becoming a dream master. The dream word on the mountain of golden words was ignited. This dream word and the illusion word on the mountain of words fused. The spell slot of a dream master's dream-playing technique and the illusion technique seemed to undergo a miraculous chemical reaction. For a moment, some mysterious things about the fusion of these two secret skills appeared in Xia Pingan's consciousness out of thin air. The dream word and illusion word on the mountain of golden words resonated at the same time and fused together. This change was completely out of Xia Pingan's expectations. He didn't expect that after fusing with the Yin Ying in the dream-playing technique Realm Pearl, this Realm Pearl could actually cause the other Realm Pearls and secret skills in the temple to change. He seemed to have mastered some new secret skill. The next morning, Xia Pingan returned to his sloppy appearance. Wearing a wig and a fake beard, he went to the Fearless House again and met Lan Wuwei in the secret room. "How was it? Did you complete the transaction this time?" Lan Wuwei, who was unusually nervous about this transaction, asked directly as soon as he entered the room. "Did that person tell you who the member of the Blood Demon Church hiding in Shangjing City is?" Xia Pingan nodded. "The transaction this time has been completed. That person told me that the member of the Blood Demon Church hiding in Shangjing City is Tang Wei, the elder of the Tang family, who just arrived at the Granwan Guild Hall in Shangjing City a few days ago." "Elder Tang of the Tang family, I'm sorry. Who asked you to pursue me so relentlessly? I'll start with you first," Xia Pingan said to himself in his mind. "The elder of the Tang family of the Grand Wan Guild Hall." Lan Wuwei's expression was unusually solemn. Killing intent flashed across his eyes. The second chapter would be published tonight. Chapter 215. Tang Wei of the Great Wan Guild Hall had been keeping a low profile in Shangjing City these days. After the last gathering with the Blood Demon Church, Tang Wei didn't have any more gatherings with them. He only bought some things for the Tang family in Shangjing City and met with a few business partners. Just yesterday, Tang Wei was ready to leave Shangjing City. He told the Tang family that he was going to visit a few friends. In fact, he had already prepared to go to Beihai Harbor in advance. Although Xia Pingan didn't know what Tang Wei's specific mission was, Tang Wei's trip to Beihai Harbor was definitely related to the Blood Demon Church's conspiracy. The Blood Demon Church's plan to assassinate the Crown Prince of Shang Kingdom, Beitang Wangchuan, was progressing steadily. It was April 23rd now. There were still more than 20 days before Beitang Wangchuan went to Beihai Harbor to participate in the launching ceremony of the Shang Kingdom's new navy. Apart from that, did that mysterious person say anything else? Lan Wei asked. "That person told me that he knows another important person from the Blood Demon Church hidden in Shangjing City. If we want to know the identity of that person, we need to take out the Five Suns Realm's Divine Spring and 100,000 gold coins in exchange." The Divine Spring of the Five Suns Realm was more valuable than all the other Divine Springs added together, not to mention the 100,000 gold coins at the end. Lan Wuwei frowned when he heard this condition and sucked in a breath of cold air. How dare he make such a condition? I asked him the same thing. Xia Pingan sighed and spread his hands. He said that the important person from the Blood Demon Church is hidden in the Imperial Guards in Shangjing City. He can enter and leave the Imperial City at any time. His status is not low, and he knows many secrets of the Dark Battle God Church. It's up to us whether we want to find that person or not. What? There are people from the Blood Demon Church hidden in the Imperial Guards? Lan Wei was shocked by this news. Whether the Tang family's elder was from the Blood Demon Church was still to be confirmed. However, if there were people from the Blood Demon Church in the Imperial Guards, the situation would be more serious. If people from the Blood Demon Church infiltrated the Imperial Guards, many people in the Imperial City wouldn't be able to sleep well. This matter was very serious. Hearing this news, Lan Wei anxiously paced around the room twice. Did you feel that he was lying to us? Or did you find anything special about him? Xia Pingan shook his head. I didn't discover any of that. When that person contacted me, he was either invisible, only audible, or a mass of black fog. Actually, I don't even know whether that person was a man or a woman. It's probably because I'm weak that that person felt at ease to contact me. That person also said that he would soon leave Shanjing City, and there's not much time left for him to make a deal with us. If we still want to know the secret of the Blood Demon Church hidden in Shanjing City from him, we have to hurry. Wait here for a moment. I will immediately report this matter to the higher-ups. As long as that elder of the Tang family is still in Shanjing City, we will soon be able to verify whether he is a surviving member of the Blood Demon Church. How long will it take? Very soon. These important figures of the Blood Demon Church should have participated in the sacrificial ceremony of the Blood Demon Church. As long as we can confirm the specific target, the Judgment Army will have a way to determine whether that person is related to the Blood Demon Church in a short time. After saying this, Lan Wei hurriedly left the secret room, leaving Xia Pingan there to wait. Xia Pingan estimated that this method of the Judgment Army would not be able to be popularized on a large scale. Either it was inconvenient to use, or the cost was too high, or both. Otherwise, everyone in Shanjing City would be able to easily find out the hidden members of the Blood Demon Church. Xia Pingan patiently waited for the results of the Judgment Army's investigation. As long as there was a result, the Judgment Army would definitely agree to the conditions he had just proposed. More than an hour later, at the entrance of the Great Wan Guild Hall, just as Tang Wei walked out of the guild hall, a flock of pigeons flew across the sky. Pa! Just as Tang Wei walked down the stairs, a pool of pigeon feces fell from the sky and directly landed on the ground in front of him. It spread out like a small bomb. The gray and white pigeon feces spread all over the ground, dirtying the pair of shiny black shoes on his feet, leaving some spots. Tang Wei was also stunned for a moment and cursed in his heart. He had just come out of the guild hall and did not expect that pigeon feces would fall from the sky. There was no way to avoid it. The curator of the Great Wan Guild Hall also respectfully sent Tang Wei out. When he saw that the elder's shoes were dirted by the pigeon feces in the sky, he was also shocked. Elder, please don't blame him. There are so many pigeons in Shanjing City. I will ask someone to bring water for you to wipe your shoes. After the curator finished speaking to Elder Tang with a smiling face, he turned around and scolded the two servants beside him. What are you still standing there for? Don't you have any eyesight? Elder Tang's shoes are dirty. Quickly go and fetch water. When the servants in the guild hall hurriedly fetched water and wiped Tang Wei's shoes clean, Tang Wei put on a straight face and got on the carriage that was waiting at the entrance. Before he got on the carriage, he ordered the coachman, go to the Five Lakes Chamber of Commerce. Elder Tang's carriage drove on the bustling streets of Shanjing City. Sitting in the carriage, Tang Wei narrowed his eyes and looked at the bustling streets outside with an indifferent gaze. More than 40 minutes later, the carriage suddenly stopped. Tang Wei looked out from the carriage and saw that the carriages on the street were all congested together. Just as his carriage stopped, there were other carriages that followed behind it. In an instant, his carriage was squeezed on the road and could not even turn around. What's going on? Tang Wei opened the front window and asked outside. Elder, please wait a moment. I'll go and see what's going on. Tang Long, who was sitting in front of the carriage, immediately jumped off and ran forward. A moment later, Tang Long ran back and reported, Elder, just now at the intersection in front of us, there was a horse that was suddenly frightened. It pulled a carriage that was carrying rapeseed oil and ran wildly in front of the road, hitting a few carriages. Now, there are horses on the road in front of us twitching on the ground. On the road, Two carriages overturned and blocked the road. There's oil everywhere on the road. The police have already arrived and are evacuating the traffic and cleaning up the oil on the ground. How long will it take? There's too much oil on the road, and we still have to clean up the carriages. I'm afraid it won't be done in a short time. Hearing this, Tang Wei got off the carriage. He looked at the road in front of him and saw that it was blocked for 70 to 80 meters. All the carriages were blocked here, no less than hundreds of them. In just a short while, there were already more than 30 carriages behind his carriage. Even a small train with rails had to stop. This was the busiest street in Shangjing City. In just a short while, the road was so congested that it gave people a headache. "Elder, do you want to wait in the carriage?" Tang Long asked. Tang Wei raised his head and looked at the sun above his head, then looked at the situation on the street. He shook his head. "This place is not far from Five Lakes Merchant Guild. Let's walk there. If we have to wait, it will be too late. After a while, the road will be cleared and the coachman will come over himself." "All right." Then Tang Wei and Tang Long walked from the road to the sidewalk and walked forward along the sidewalk. The sidewalk was bustling with people coming and going. There were all kinds of shops on both sides of the road. Many people who were stuck on the carriages and small trains got off the carriages and walked through this block. On the road, there were many people selling flowers by the roadside. In April in Shangjing City, spring was bright and beautiful. Flowers were like brocades. Many farmers outside the city picked flowers to sell in the city. There were people selling flowers everywhere on the street. Flowers, flowers, freshly picked flowers. Everyone, take a look. They're fragrant and cheap. An old granny with a blue headscarf was holding a large flower basket filled with all kinds of flowers and hawking on the sidewalk. Passing by this kind of flower seller, Tang Wei didn't even look at the old granny. He directly walked past the old granny. There were many people on the street. When Tang Wei passed by, an impatient young man hurriedly walked forward and bumped into the old granny's flower basket. The old granny's flower basket fell to the ground. The young man quickly apologized and helped the old granny to pick up the flower basket that fell on the ground. Tang Wei had already walked to the front, so he didn't notice that when the old granny's flower basket fell on the ground, it just happened to fall on a shadow. The flowers in the basket swept over his shadow. On the bustling street, such small details happen all the time. No one would care about it. Tang Wei walked far away in the blink of an eye. After turning around the corner, the old granny pulled the young man and talked. In the end, the old granny let the young man go only after the young man promised to buy a bouquet of flowers. The old granny continued hawking flowers along the street. After walking for a while, the old granny turned and walked into a small alley by the roadside. There weren't many people in the alley. The old granny picked up an ordinary-looking white daffodil from the flower basket and looked at it carefully. For some reason, in just a few seconds, the white daffodil's petals slowly turned black. Then, the petals withered and fell to the ground, turning into ashes in the blink of an eye. Unknowingly, an old man who was also selling flowers with a shoulder pole appeared beside the old granny. He also lowered his head to look at the withered daffodil in the old granny's hand and sighed softly. Sure enough, it's the devil child of the Blood Demon Church. Looks like he's a backbone, and his level isn't low. Sigh, it's a pity for this lotus pond daffodil. The old granny said regretfully. It's not a pity. It's enough to pay with his life. That's true. The old granny smiled. In the next second, the light and shadow in the alley blurred. A gust of wind blew, and the figures of the old man and the granny who sold flowers disappeared. Even the slight ashes on the ground were blown away, leaving no trace behind. A few seconds later, the boy of fortune drilled out from the wall beside him in a red dadu. He looked at the ground and then looked in the direction where the wind disappeared. Then he drilled into the ground and disappeared again. In the secret chamber, Xia Pingan opened his eyes and was secretly shocked. He didn't know what the lotus pond daffodil was. It could actually determine the identity of the Tang family's elder just by looking at his shadow. The Judgment Army's foundation was really deep. It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future. Chapter 216. Xiao Pingan didn't wait long in the secret chamber. He knew that once the identity of the Tang family elder was confirmed, the following deal would be completed. The Judgment Army had doubts about the accuracy of the information provided by the mysterious man. After this, the Judgment Army's doubts could be dispelled. Sure enough, only 20 minutes later, Lan Wuwei entered the secret chamber again. Lan Wuwei's face was inexplicably relaxed and not as solemn as before. How is it? Has the Tang family elder been confirmed? Xiao Pingan asked knowingly. It has been confirmed. Lan Wuwei nodded. The information provided by the mysterious man is accurate. The Tang family elder is one of the backbones of the Blood Demon Church. The Judgment Army is already monitoring him. That's good. At least our efforts were not in vain since we managed to dig out a member of the Blood Demon Church. Xiao Pingan also looked relieved. The Blood Demon Church is really pervasive. This is what the mysterious man needs. As Lan Wuwei spoke, he placed a small box in front of Xiao Pingan. The Judgment Army is very interested in the member of the Blood Demon Church hidden among the Imperial Guards. They hope to know the identity of the member as soon as possible. Also, when you meet the mysterious man this time, you can tell him that the Judgment Army and the Shang Dynasty have a lot of resources. If he knows other secrets about the Blood Demon Church, he is welcome to continue exchanging information with us. We will not inquire about his identity, nor will we reveal his existence. We hope to maintain our current relationship. If he needs any other help from us, we can discuss it. Okay, I will definitely pass on your message. As Xiao Pingan spoke, he reached out and put the small box into his space warehouse. 100,000 gold coins and the holy spring of the Five Suns realm were in his hands. Xiao Pingan looked calm, but he was very excited. Through this deal, the Judgment Army's higher-ups had seen the great value of the mysterious man, so they took the initiative to express their goodwill. The Boy of Fortune was indeed his god of fortune. His value was immeasurable. You have worked hard these days. This is your reward. I hope you will continue to work hard. As Lan Wuwei spoke, he moved his hand and placed a realm pearl and a spiritual force crystal in front of Xiao Pingan. Xiao Pingan took a look at the world pearl and saw the words Dai Ying and Xiaozhuan on the world pearl and the spiritual crystal. He immediately understood. Haha, this is probably a reward given to me by my superiors, who are afraid that I will have a mental breakdown. As the middleman between me and the mysterious man, I will definitely have my own thoughts when I see how the mysterious man can easily make so much money and get so many resources. Therefore, the superiors must express their gratitude appropriately. A moment later, Xiao Pingan walked out of the pawn shop again. After arriving at the street, Xiao Pingan called the child of Fortune God and had him examine him. After confirming that he wasn't being watched and that there was nothing wrong with him, Xiao Pingan felt relieved. Xiao Pingan had to be careful. If the Judgment Army knew that there was no mysterious man from the beginning to the end, he would not be able to do anything to them. That night, Xiao Pingan fused with the Sac Ing Realm Pearl. Fusing with this realm pearl was very simple. Perhaps even elementary school students could do it. The main character of the story was Che Yin of the Jin Dynasty. It was said that when Che Yin was young, he liked to read. However, because his family was poor, Che Yin had to work in the fields during the day and only had time to read at night. However, his family could not afford lamp oil, so Che Yin thought of a way. He saw a lot of fireflies in the wild. The fireflies could emit light, so Che Yin found a thin piece of white cloth and sewed a small pocket. Then, he put the fireflies he caught in the white cloth pocket and used the light of the fireflies to read. That was where the name Ing Kanjing came from. Relying on this diligent spirit of study, Che Yin also changed his fate. From a child from a poor family, he eventually became the governor of Wuxing in the Jin Dynasty and the minister of the Ministry of Personnel. In the three-character classic, the phrase Ing Kanjing, Ing Shui. Although his family was poor, he never stopped learning. This was Che Yin's story. This realm pearl gave Xiao Pingan 10 points of god power. After fusing with this realm pearl, Xiao Pingan's god power had reached 1,302 points. He was one step closer to the Two Sun realm. Xiao Pingan now had money, but he did not dare to advance to the two-sun realm. This was because the aura of a summoner would change after advancing to the two-sun realm. The matter with the Blood Demon Church was not over yet. He was still wanted. If he advanced to the two-sun realm in such a short time, it would be too conspicuous to meet Lan Wuwei. It would be like confessing without being pressed. These 2 days, Xiao Pingan walked around Shangjing City. He was already choosing a location for his dream master business. After choosing, Xiao Pingan realized that the Tianyuan Bridge Night Market was the best place. Master Shui Yue indeed knew how to choose a place. The Tianyuan Bridge Night Market was the most bustling place in Shangjing City, and there were no ordinary people coming and going. Apart from summoners, there were also many high-ranking officials and rich merchants in Shangjing City. As long as she could make a name for herself in the Tianyuan Bridge Night Market, the entire Shangjing City would know her name. However, there were too few suitable places for his dream master business in the streets near the Tianyuan Bridge Night Market. Furthermore, there were too few shops, courtyards, and lofts for rent. Xiao Pingan asked around and saw a few places for rent. He realized that the shops were either too small or too remote. The houses were too old, and the streets outside were too narrow and run down. If he were to do his dream master business in these places, he would not be able to attract rich people. Packaging and style were the most important things when doing business. If the place was not good, it would give people the impression that he was selling luxury goods on the street stalls in the night market. No matter how hard he tried, he would not be able to fetch a high price. The places that could be rented were not suitable. However, there were a few courtyards and houses for sale at the Tianyuan Bridge Night Market. The locations and houses were not bad, but the prices were not good. The prices made Xiao Pingan feel the pinch. Xiao Pingan wanted to rent, even if the price was slightly higher. He even asked the broker to contact the landlord. However, the broker said that the landlord would only sell and not rent. After busying himself for 2 days outside, the ruling army was probably anxious. On the 3rd day, Xiao Pingan wore a wig and fake beard again. He returned to the fearless house with his original appearance and met Lan Wuwei again. The person from the Blood Demon Church hiding in the Imperial Guards is called Su Minran. He is a lieutenant in the Imperial Guards and is in charge of the restriction of the Earth Origin Gate in the Imperial City. Under Lan Wuwei's expectant gaze, Xiao Pingan revealed the identity of that person. The second watch of the day was at night. Chapter 217. In the past few days, Boy of Blessings had already figured out the identities of the members of the Blood Demon Church who had participated in the secret meeting. Among those people, except for one who was a famous pirate leader, nicknamed the Seven Seas Shark Monster, the others all had different identities in Shangjing City. However, he still did not know who the Altar Master was. When he heard Xiao Pingan mention that person's name, and that person was actually in charge of the restriction of entering and exiting the Imperial City, Lan Wuwei could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. The Judgment Army's investigation was necessary, but since the mysterious person could name this person, there should be no mistake. Fortunately, the Judgment Army and the Dark War God Church wanted to track down the traces of the members of the Blood Demon Church all day long. They did not expect that the members of the Blood Demon Church had already taken root in the Imperial City and were even in charge of the security restriction of the Imperial City. They could enter and leave the Imperial City as if they were playing right under the nose of the Judgment Army and the Shang Dynasty. This was simply a great irony. Previously, Lan Wuwei felt that the price of the information that the mysterious person asked for was too high. After hearing the identity of Lieutenant Su, Lan Wuwei felt that the previous transaction was too worth it. What was 100,000 gold coins and the holy spring that could allow a summoner to break through to the Five Suns realm? If the member of the Blood Demon Church in the Judgment Army was not exposed, the people in the Imperial City would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. It was unknown when an earth-shattering chaos would occur. At that time, the entire Judgment Army would be covered in dirt and might even be implicated. Lan Wuwei suppressed the lingering fear in his heart and asked, "Other than that, what else did that person say?" That person said that he had more important information about the Judgment Army. More important information? What is it? That person said that the members of the Blood Demon Church hidden in Shangjing City were not just these two people. Apart from these two people, there are more hidden members of the Blood Demon Church in Shangjing City. Recently, these people of the Blood Demon Church are planning a major event, and they want to assassinate an important person in the Imperial City. Assassinate an important person in the Imperial City. Yes, an important person in the Imperial City. That person said so. He said that there are at least 5 important people of the Blood Demon Church hidden in Shangjing City, and there is another one in the sea. Even though he was mentally prepared, Lan Wuwei was still shocked by the news. There were many important people in the Imperial City. Someone who the Blood Demon Church wanted to assassinate was definitely someone of great importance. Once the Blood Demon Church succeeded, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xia Pinggan did not reveal the identity of that person. If he revealed that the target of the Blood Demon Church was the Crown Prince, Beitang Wangchuan, it would not be easy for him to continue acting. If Beitang Wangchuan was prepared and changed his itinerary, how could he sell the information at a high price? Furthermore, that mysterious person would not be so stupid as to reveal the Blood Demon Church's goal before receiving any benefits. Therefore, this goal could not be made too clear. However, Xia Pinggan also believed that this news was enough for the Judgment Army and the higher-ups to deal with it with 200% of their attention. Lan Wuwei stared at Xia Pinggan with a solemn look. After taking a deep breath, he asked directly, "What does that person want in exchange this time?" 500,000 gold coins, 6 Sun Realm and 7 Sun Realm Holy Spring, and all the information about the Dark Tower that the Great Shang Kingdom has. This price tag was something that Xia Pinggan had thought of for a long time. If the Great Shang Kingdom had a holy spring above the 7 Sun Realm, Xia Pinggan would not be polite. However, it was a pity that a holy spring above the 7 Sun Realm could only be found by chance. It was said that the holy spring was like a living thing that disappeared in the blink of an eye. It only existed in some void secret realms and could not be brought out. Therefore, no matter how strong or rich the Great Shang Kingdom was, they could not take out a holy spring above the 7 Sun Realm. It was a little risky to ask for information about the Dark Tower from the Great Shang Kingdom. It might expose some things. Xia Pinggan was not sure if there was anyone else who was interested in the Dark Tower other than a spacewalker like himself. However, Xia Pinggan had no other choice. These days, he had already gone to the Great Shang Dynasty's library in the capital. However, after arriving at the library, he looked up some information and consulted some professionals. It was only then that he found out that all information and books related to the demonic overlord and the Blood Demon Church were taboo items in the Great Shang Dynasty. They were kept in the Royal Library and the Dark Battle God Church's Scripture Hall. These things could not be found in the library that was open to ordinary people. Destroying the Dark Tower and preventing the Earth from being invaded by space was the mission of Xia Pinggan and the others in this world. At this time, Xia Pinggan could only maximize the value of the information he had about the Blood Demon Church and take the opportunity to make this request. Lan Wuwei left the room. Xia Pinggan waited in the room, feeling a little nervous. This time, he waited for more than 3 hours before Lan Wuwei re-entered the room through the secret passage. Then he placed 2 boxes, one big and one small, in front of Xia Pinggan. The divine spring of the 7 Sun Realm is already extremely precious, and it is difficult to obtain even with money. Moreover, there are strict requirements for the storage location. Although the Great Shang Empire has some storage, the storage location for the divine spring of the 7 Sun Realm is not in the capital. It takes more than a month to transport the divine spring of the 7 Sun Realm from the storage location to the capital. Therefore, we can only provide the divine spring of the 6 Sun Realm this time. Here are 500,000 gold notes, and the jade strip in this box contains all the information about the Dark Tower that the Great Shang Empire possesses. The copy of the 7 Sun Realm Divine Spring in the 7 Sun Realm Divine Spring is in the copy of the 7 Sun Realm Divine Spring. You can tell that person that as long as the information he provides this time is accurate, we promise him in the name of the Judgment Army that we will provide him with the 7-sun realm divine. Spring on time in a month. He can come and collect it at any time. Okay, I will pass on the message. Xiao Pingon put away the items without a change in expression. As expected, when it came to the safety of the important figures in the imperial city, the Judgment Army agreed to the price offered by the mysterious man without any bargaining. They didn't dare to delay at all. As for the 7-sun realm divine spring, Xiao Pingon was not confident that he would be able to obtain it in a month. Perhaps this was the will of the heavens. Nothing could be perfect. This was because this would be the last time Xiao Pingon would come to the Fearless House. Once he obtained these items, Xiao Pingon would be prepared to disappear. The last few visits to the Fearless House had been like walking on a tightrope on a 10,000-meter cliff for Xiao Pingon. As more and more members of the Blood Demon Church were exposed, his identity as a spacewalker could be exposed at any time. With each passing day, the chances of Xiao Pingon's identity being exposed increased. This was especially so when he had taken the risk to ask for information on the Dark Tower. If the Judgment Army learned of his identity as a spacewalker, he might be exposed. Xiao Pingon calmly walked out of the Fearless House, his little heart thumping nonstop. As soon as he walked out of the Fearless House, he called out the Child of Fortune and had him sit on his shoulder so that he could keep an eye on the surrounding environment and situation. Fortunately, this time was the same as the previous 2 times. There was nothing abnormal in the surroundings. Or perhaps the Judgment Army was more worried that the mysterious person would drop the ball and leave at this crucial moment. So, they did not dare to act rashly. Xiao Pingon left the Fearless House unscathed and disappeared into the sea of people in Shanjing. Shopkeeper Lan of the Fearless House was waiting for news from Xiao Pingon. The entire Judgment Army was also waiting for news from Xiao Pingon. The next night, an inconspicuous large black dog silently passed through 100 Spirits Alley and arrived at the entrance of the Fearless House. There were still 2 workers standing at the entrance. The large dog glanced at the signboard of the Fearless House and immediately rushed inside. Why did this dog also rush into the Fearless House? The 2 workers guarding the entrance hurriedly chased after the large black dog. However, the big black dog was extremely fast. Before the 2 workers at the door could react, the big black dog had already rushed to the front hall of the Fearless House. It barked at Lan Wuwei, who was still behind the counter in the front hall, and successfully attracted Lan Wuwei's attention. Then, the big black dog ran directly to the back hall of the Fearless House and squatted down in front of the door of the auspicious room in the back hall. "Manager, that big black dog ran in when we weren't paying attention." The 2 workers from Fearless House ran in while panting. "I'll take care of that dog. You don't have to worry about it. Go back." Lan Wuwei was shocked when he sensed that the dog had actually run to the auspicious room in the back hall and squatted down. He hurriedly told the 2 workers to go back. He quickly went to the auspicious room in the back hall and took a closer look at the dog. Only then did Lan Wuwei realize that the large black dog wasn't a real dog, but a summoner's summoned creature. "Who told you to come?" Lan Wuwei asked. The large black dog didn't bark. It only raised a front paw and pointed at the auspicious room's door. This dog was too clever. Lan Wuwei's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately opened the auspicious room's door. The big black dog walked into the room, and so did Lan Wuwei. "Can you speak now?" Lan Wuwei asked. The large black dog was lying on a coffee table in the room. It lowered its head and spat out a sealed white wax pill from its mouth. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with the wax pill, Lan Wuwei picked it up and crushed it. Inside the wax pill was a rolled-up piece of paper. When the paper was unfolded, there was a letter written in small letters. "Shopkeeper Lan, the Blood Demon Church's target is the Crown Prince, Beitang Wang Chuan. They are preparing to assassinate His Highness the Crown Prince on the 15th of May when His Highness the Crown Prince goes to Beihai Port to participate in the launching ceremony of the Shang Dynasty's new navy and the fleet review that will follow." Other than the 2 exposed members of the Blood Demon Church, An altar master of the Blood Demon Church will personally participate in this operation. Other than the altar master, the other main members of the Blood Demon Church who were hiding in Shangjing City and would participate in this assassination were Hong Defa, the president of the Shangjing Trading Association, Zhou Dashan, the blacksmith of the 100 Refinements Ironware Shop, Hu Mo, the leader of the Dragon Rider sect, Old Lamp Luo, the night watchman of the southern street of Shangjing City, Di Jingjing, the shopkeeper of the Untu and outside the city, and Yu Xinglong, demon shark of the seven seas. That mysterious person said that if this cooperation goes well, he may provide us with information in the future. The last signature on the paper was unknown. The Blood Demon Church's target was the Crown Prince. This made Lan Wuwei's heart tighten. The news that Xia Pinggan brought was extremely urgent. It was too shocking. However, why didn't Xia Pinggan come? Why did he send a dog to deliver the letter? What did this mean? Lan Wuwei was full of doubts and couldn't understand. He looked at the large black dog that delivered the letter, but he found that the large black dog's figure gradually became blurry. It actually turned into light and disappeared in front of him, leaving no clues behind. No matter why Xia Pinggan didn't come, this news must be reported to His Excellency immediately. P.S. Tiger will take half a day off tomorrow. Chapter 218. The Dark Tower is a powerful artifact built with fear stones to suppress the secondary planes. In the god and demon realm, in the eyes of the gods, it is like a barb, a nail, or a lighthouse in the sea of the universe. It is inserted into the secondary planes universes and continuously absorbs the dark energy of the secondary planes. That dark energy is like a tide, like a fog, like a storm. It surges in different levels of space, emitting from the consciousness of every living being, and then converges into the Dark Tower like a stream. The living beings of the secondary planes don't know the order of their planes and worlds in the universe. They also don't understand the mysteries and meaning of life. They are like weeds in the wilderness, harvested by the raging fire. When the raging fire sweeps through the wilderness, the living beings squeeze out their life force and transform it into pain, slaughter, sorrow, fear, greed, disappointment, panic, and other energies. These are the fruits of the harvest, the feast of the demons. Forbidden Book. There are only two kinds of emotions at the origin of life: love or fear. Fear is the source of all negative energy. The source of a demon god's power is fear. Fear brings about slaughter, pain, greed, and all kinds of evil. The battle between gods and demons is everywhere. In the end, it is also the beginning of the war. It is in the consciousness and thoughts of all the living beings in the universe. Battle between gods and demons. The demon god has countless agents in the secondary planes. It is a conspiracy between humans and demons. The demon god gives the agents all kinds of abilities, power, money, and eternal life. And the agents use their abilities and power to rule the world, creating fear, war, oppression, exploitation, and pain. They use the fear of mortals as a sacrifice. Those mortals don't know why the superiors are so keen on creating fear, war, pain, and disease. It doesn't completely come from the need to rule, because it is a contract. A peaceful world is what the agents hate the most, because it represents their incompetence and dereliction of duty. No one is harvested. The darkest secret, the god of good fortune roared, and the entire void began to shake and shatter. Billions of miles of the Milky Way were torn apart by the god of good fortune's anger. Boundless fire surged out from the god of good fortune's body. The god of good fortune's blood dripped down, and each drop of blood turned into 100 dragons. Each dragon had the power to shatter stars. The god that controlled the disease fell in the flames of the god of good fortune. His divine kingdom collapsed and turned into nothingness. This is the first god to fall. The wind god's body was submerged in the god of good fortune's blood. His divine kingdom collapsed and turned into countless winds, blowing the stars. the god of good fortune's body, the god of good fortune's divine kingdom. The demon god of God's chain of order, collapse god. Another world is free. The age. Countless words and historical records appeared in front of Xiaoping's eyes. Xiaoping could only read them word by word as if he was reading a book. In a secret room, Xiaoping was sitting cross-legged on a praying mat, holding a sparkling jade slip in his hand. His mind was completely immersed in the words of the jade slip, and he didn't know how long had passed. The Great Shang dynasty had far too much information regarding the Dark Tower. It had been accumulated for who knew how many years. Tens of millions of words, pictures, and all sorts of information were contained in this jade slip. The information in this jade slip wasn't pieced together at the last moment. Rather, it had been preserved in this way by the Great Shang dynasty. As for Xiaoping, after immersing his mind into the jade slip, the words of the jade slip immediately caused Xiaoping to become addicted. The secrets of the Dark Tower were too astonishing, making one unable to stop. At the end of the information, Xiaoping saw the last line of words in the jade slip. This jade slip can only be consulted by bishops and above. This jade slip contained the records of the Dark War god religion. In the secret room, Xiaoping finally opened his eyes. He looked at the special red candles on the wall. The candle was called magic whale wax, and it was made using a special method. The raw material was the oil of the magic whale. A stick of magic whale wax could be lit for a month. In the secret room, the magic whale wax had the effect of dispelling mosquitoes, snakes, and rats and calming the mind. It was the favorite of those in closed-door training. Looking at the short piece of magic whale wax, Xiaoping slightly hissed and muttered to himself, "It's already been so many days." Xiaoping spread out his legs and got down from the praying mat and stone bed. After stretching his limbs and body in the secret room, he walked out of the secret room and went outside. It was late at night in the small courtyard. The stars and moonlight poured down, and only crickets were tirelessly chirping in the garden. These days, only the black dragon was guarding outside. Seeing Xiaoping come out of the secret room, the black dragon immediately wagged its tail and ran over. Xiaoping habitually took out the pocket watch on his body and glanced at it. Only then did he remember that he hadn't wound it up for so many days, and that the pocket watch had been unwound for who knows how many days. Xiaoping walked into the courtyard. With his hands behind his back, he looked up at the dazzling starlight in the sky with a deep gaze. His thoughts were fluctuating, and he found it difficult to calm down. In the information and files of the Dark Tower, Xiaoping discovered one thing. In order to destroy the Dark Tower, one had to become a god. Only a god-level existence in this world had the ability to discover and destroy the Dark Tower. Xiaoping didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this discovery. Xiaoping dared to bet that those people who formulated the heaven-patching plan on Earth would never have imagined that the prerequisite for ending the space invasion and destroying the Dark Tower was actually to become a god in this world. For a mortal to become a god, this path was extremely difficult and long. Some of the information was about the description of becoming a god in this world. Because the description was somewhat scattered and incomplete, Xiaoping could only vaguely glimpse the path to becoming a god. When a summoner's secret mandala gathered 10 suns, the summoner's secret mandala might transform into a god's kingdom. Xiaoping didn't know the specifics of the transformation. He only knew that this step in becoming a god was called condensing a god's kingdom. Other than that, the most important thing about becoming a god was that all the gods in this world who had become a god seemed to have their own domain of expertise. These domains were unique, and no two gods had the same name. The domain of expertise of the gods was the same as the name of the gods. When these two were combined, it was called the godhood of the gods. The god's kingdom and the godhood seemed to be the two most crucial factors to becoming a god. Xiaoping didn't know the specifics. The only thing he knew was that the ultimate goal of all the strong people in this world who were not gods was to become a god. I'm really forcing myself to walk this path. If I can't reach the end, then don't blame me. I'll try my best, but who dares to say that they will definitely become a god? Xia Pingan muttered to himself. In the blink of an eye, the black dragon, who had run away after seeing Xia Pingan shake his head at his pocket watch, returned. Not only did the black dragon return, but it also ran in front of Xia Pingan with a newspaper in its mouth. Because he had a fixed residence, Xia Pingan ordered a copy of the Shangjing Daily. These days, a postman would deliver a copy of the Shangjing Daily to the delivery box of the house every day. The delivery box was outside the door, and the box was inside the door. The Black Dragon had just brought the Shangjing Daily back. The date on the Shangjing Daily was May 12th. In a prominent position on the front page of the newspaper, there was a piece of news that the Shang Kingdom would hold a grand naval review in Beihai Harbor 3 days later, on May 15th. At that time, the Shang Kingdom's new battleship would be launched. According to the principle of reporting news, these newspapers would not disclose the whereabouts of the important people of the Shang Kingdom in advance. However, this news still made Xia Pingan smell a different smell. After receiving his information, the Shang Kingdom held a launching ceremony and review of the new battleship in Beihai Harbor as scheduled. It seemed that nothing had changed, but it was this lack of change that made Xia Pingan feel a little strange. 3 days later, Beihai Harbor would be unimaginably lively. Chapter 219. May 15th. Shang Dynasty's Beihai Harbor. Today's weather in Beihai Harbor was very good. The entire Beihai Harbor was filled with flags and colorful flags. The jubilant people waved the flag of Shang Dynasty and the flag of the Navy. They gathered at the docks on both sides of the Beihai Harbor shipyard and the shore opposite the docks. They were all eagerly waiting to see the Shang Dynasty's newest generation battleship and the Crown Prince's style. In the dry dock of the shipyard, the Shang Dynasty's newest generation battleship was covered with colorful flags and ribbons. It was like a warrior about to go to war, quietly waiting for the moment to enter the water. Around the dock, dignitaries gathered. On the viewing platform, most of them were admirals and officers of the Shang Dynasty wearing white naval uniforms. In addition to the admirals and officers of the Navy, the person in charge of the shipyard, the worker representatives, the local officials and gentlemen of Beihai, the steel factory representatives, the heads of various research institutes, and many important people from Shangjing City gathered here. Only by sitting on both sides of the viewing platform could one truly feel the huge pressure brought by the Shang Dynasty's newest generation battleship. With a displacement of 19,800 tons, its armor alone weighed 5,600 tons, its length was 528 feet, and its width was 77 feet. In addition, the huge cannons on the battleship covered the entire hull like a steel forest, making the battleship in the dock feel as oppressive as a mountain. The rising sun shone on the battleship, casting a huge shadow on the northwest side of the dock. The shadow shrouded the area at the edge of the viewing platform, causing the people sitting on the viewing platform and nearby to raise their heads and stretch their necks to see the majestic figure of the battleship. Just behind the edge of the viewing platform, separated by a row of Navy sailors in ceremonial robes and rifles, were the attendants and attendants of the VIPs on the viewing platform. Yin Duo was among a group of attendants and attendants, looking up at the huge battleship. At this moment, Yin Duo no longer had his head full of flowing white hair. Instead, he had short and neat black hair and a little beard. He was completely different from before. Yin Duo was wearing a black outfit, a hat, and a short sword hanging from his waist. He was handsome, cool, and charming. Yin Duo curled his lips and squinted his eyes. Looking at the huge battleship, he muttered in his heart, "It seems that the technological development of the Shang Dynasty is not bad. They can even make a battleship of this scale." Yes, as long as the cannonballs were powerful enough, there were not many bodies of flesh and blood that could resist the cannons of the giant ships. Of course, there were summoners who could resist the cannons. However, even if they had such ability, not many summoners would be willing to use their divine power to compete with gunpowder. Moreover, He heard that the Marines' battleships also have a summoner on board. All right, did Xia Pingan, Jiang Do and the others also encounter an accident during the teleportation and get teleported to other places? Xia Pingan would never have imagined that he would reach the One Sun realm in such a short time. This time, he should have finally surpassed that freak. If they met again, he should be able to see a surprised expression on Xia Pingan's face. As he thought about it, Yin Duo's thoughts couldn't help but drift, and the corner of his mouth also revealed a trace of a smile. "Brother, who did you follow?" Sitting next to Yin Duo was a slightly plump middle-aged man. The middle-aged man nudged Yin Duo with his arm and asked softly. The middle-aged man's words immediately pulled Yin Duo's thoughts back to the scene. "Ahem, I am Countess Lin Qing's driver come bodyguard." Yin Duo tilted his head. Countess Lin Qing, the beautiful female widow who owns several docks and a fleet in the North Sea and occupies the trade route with Medicine King Island. The middle-aged man was stunned for a second. Then he looked at Yin Duo enviously as he winked and said in a tone that all men understood, "Haha, brother, you're so lucky." Yin Duo shrugged and looked at the viewing platform in the distance at the same time. At a prominent position on the viewing platform, a beautiful woman in her 30s wearing a blue dress, white gloves, and a lady's hat happened to turn her head and meet Yin Duo's gaze. The woman smiled tenderly, and Yin Duo returned a smile. He even raised his eyebrows, pouted, and blew a kiss. The woman's face blushed slightly. "Alas, for the earth, for mankind, I can only sacrifice myself. Is it easy for me?" Yin Duo himself was almost moved by his spirit of sacrifice. "His Highness the Crown Prince's airship is here," someone in the crowd suddenly said. Then everyone looked at the airship in the sky almost at the same time. It was a beautiful silver-white airship, flying from the north, attracting the attention of everyone. At the sight of the airship, many people on both sides of the wharf and the opposite bank cheered as they waved their flags desperately. After a short while, the airship landed steadily in an open land near the dry dock. A large group of people surrounded it. Yin Duo and the others were not qualified to get close. They could only watch the airship's hatch open, and then a man in a gorgeous robe walked out of the airship's hatch and waved to the crowd. The crown prince of the Shang dynasty, Beitang Wangchuan, came down from the airship, followed by a group of guards and an old man in a black robe. After Beitang Wangchuan said a few words to the people who came to welcome him, he came to the viewing platform of the dry dock. With the military band starting to play, the launching ceremony of the warship officially began. The commander of the Northern Sea Fleet of the Shang dynasty presided over the ceremony. Beitang Wangchuan gave a short and inspiring speech. Then, Beitang Wangchuan lit incense and used the incense in his hand to light a string of salutes hanging on the bow of the warship. In the rumbling salutes, the colorful egg on the bow of the warship exploded, and colorful ribbons and sweet wine sprinkled down from the bow of the warship. Then, the huge warship that weighed tens of thousands of tons followed the rails and directly rushed into the sea from the dry dock, setting off a huge wave in the sea, and the snow-white water splashed up tens of meters high from the sea. The crowd of spectators burst into enthusiastic applause and cheers. The ribbons that filled the sky fluttered down from the sky, and quite a few ribbons fell towards Beitang Wangchuan. But suddenly, the thousands of ribbons turned into blades. Thousands of blades at such a close distance, as fast as lightning, came from all directions, like a storm, and cut towards Beitang Wangchuan. This time, he was caught off guard. The huge waves and splashes caused by the launching of the warship suddenly became 10 times more turbulent. The seawater surged, and the waves instantly became several dozen meters tall, turning into a giant wave. The giant wave immediately pressed down on the battleship that weighed tens of thousands of tons. It then slammed toward the shore, and from the waves and spray, 2 glistening 100-meter-long dragons flew out at the same time. They opened their mouths and rushed toward Beitang Wangchuan. Fuck. Yin Duo was stunned. There was actually someone here who wanted to assassinate Beitang Wangchuan, and the attack was so terrifying. Chapter 220. This great change happened in an instant and did not give Beidang Wang Chuan or the people on the viewing platform any time to react. Even for a summoner like Yin Duo, this thought flashed through his mind the moment he noticed that something was wrong. The surging waves, the water dragons, and the storm of blades had already enveloped the entire area. There was simply no time to react. The crown prince, Beidang Wang Chuan, who was in the middle of the storm, also had a look of shock and panic on his face, but he was very calm and did not lose his head out of fear. He only leaned back slightly, wanting to get off the stage. It was at this time that a person wearing a black robe appeared at Beidang Wang Chuan's side. That person in the black robe had been at Beidang Wang Chuan's side and was inconspicuous, but at this crucial moment, that person was like a shadow at Beidang Wang Chuan's side, appearing in an instant. With a cold snort, the person in the black robe extended a hand, and 6 warriors wearing golden armor appeared at Beidang Wang Chuan's side. Those warriors in golden armor all held golden shields and stood at Beidang Wang Chuan's side. Their bodies and shields were like 6 doors, tightly protecting Beidang Wang Chuan. The storm-like blades slashed onto the bodies of the 6 golden-armored warriors and their shields. In a split second, the 6 huge shields and the 6 golden-armored warriors were slashed by countless blades, leaving hundreds of thousands of fine wounds on their bodies. Although it was only a split second, to those 6 warriors in golden armor, it was as if they had experienced the baptism of 10,000 years. The bodies of the 6 warriors aged like sand dunes in the storm of blades, weathered, and lost their luster. In the end, they shattered and turned into specks of light that dissipated, and the storm of blades was also completely destroyed at this moment. The black-robed man stretched out an old hand and coldly uttered 2 words towards the huge wave and water dragon. "I seal." Once these 2 words were said, a cold aura enveloped the entire area, and the hot morning of the harbor instantly turned into a world of ice and snow. The water dragons that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws were frozen in the air, and their bodies turned into ice cubes. They instantly lost their flexibility and became stiff, like a monster with rusted joints. The huge waves and the sea surface outside the dry dock were frozen in a split second. Even a battleship that had just entered the water was frozen. It was frozen together with the rolling waves and tilted on the water surface. It was as if time had been completely stopped by the ice. Break. When the black-robed old man uttered the 3rd word, the frozen waves and water dragons instantly shattered into pieces. With a wave of the black-robed old man's sleeve, a strong wind blew, and the shattered ice shards flew into the air like heavy snow, falling from the sky and covering the entire Beihai harbor. That terrifying water dragon and giant wave killer move turned into nothingness. Before the citizens who were watching the ceremony from afar could see what was happening, they saw heavy snow falling from the sky. "There's an assassin." It was only at this moment that the governor of North Sea Harbor, whose smile had completely frozen on his face, shouted at the top of his lungs. It was only then that everyone reacted, and the viewing platform was in chaos. Everything that had just happened, from the assassination, the blade storm, to the heavy snow falling from the sky onto Beihai Harbor, only a second had passed. The battleship that was tens of thousands of tons that had just been frozen once again smashed heavily onto the sea surface. Most of the ship's body was pressed underwater like a child's toy by the huge force between heaven and earth, and then it bounced back up from the water, causing huge waves to rise. Yin Duo was so shocked that his eyeballs were about to fall out. Whether it was the assassin or the black-robed old man beside the crown prince, Yin Duo felt that there was only one word to describe them: strong. They were already so strong that it was inhuman. In such a contest, if an ordinary summoner, or even a 2 or 3 Sun Realm summoner, rushed forward, they would be instantly wiped out. The viewing platform was in a state of panic. Yin Duo couldn't care less at this time. His figure flashed, and he passed by the attendants around him. He rushed toward Countess Lin Qing. He wanted to bring the Countess out of that dangerous place. The Countess' face was already pale, and she looked at Yin Duo with some panic. Of course, at this time, Yin Duo didn't forget to shout, "Don't panic, I'm coming." Yes, his actions had to be handsome. His actions had to be clean and efficient, and his expression had to be without hesitation. He had to be able to look only at her, and his gaze had to be filled with deep affection. He couldn't look at anyone else, Yin Duo said to himself. Sure enough, seeing Yin Duo rush toward her like an arrow in the midst of the chaos, the Countess' face showed a trace of infatuation and emotion. The assassination wasn't over. It was just the beginning. The Crown Prince, Beitang Wang Chuan, retreated from the stage under the protection of his bodyguards. Just as the first wave from the collision of the battleship had subsided, a terrifyingly large hand reached out from the water in the next second, grabbing the still swaying battleship. Following this, a giant that was about 300 to 400 meters tall slowly stood up from the water and stood on the surface of the water like a mountain. The tens of thousands of tons battleship was lifted up by the giant with both hands. Then it fiercely smashed toward the dry dock and where Crown Prince Beitang Wang Chuan was. Looking from the ground, the battleship that was smashing down from the sky was like a mountain falling from the sky. Yin Duo, who was pulling the Countess away, felt the sky darken. He turned his head and saw the huge battleship falling from the sky. Fuck! Yin Duo was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Without thinking, he summoned a 1,000-mile horse as a mount. The moment the mount was summoned, he jumped onto the back of the horse with the Countess. The 1,000-mile horse let out a long neigh and spread its forehooves. With the two people on its back, it jumped over the guardrail and obstacles that were more than 1 meter high and galloped for its life. The tens of thousands of tons battleship didn't smash down because almost instantly the same giant was summoned. That giant grabbed the battleship that was smashing down from the sky with both hands. The two giants, one in the water and one on the shore, grabbed the huge battleship with 4 hands and began to wrestle. The huge body of the battleship began to twist. The tens of thousands of tons of steel began to deform like fried dough twist. The tall superstructure and huge cannons on the battleship began to bend and break. The cracking sound of the battleship's keel breaking could be heard. It made people's teeth ache, and it shook the eardrums of everyone within 10 li. The citizens who were watching from afar were all stunned. If it was said that many people didn't react to what was happening just now, and they were all wondering if the snowflakes in the sky were a special welcoming ceremony, then now, everyone knew that something was wrong. Boom! At this time, an earth-shattering explosion came from the military port's ammunition depot. Many places in Beihai Harbor City were also set on fire at the same time. What's worse is, in the crowd of onlookers, someone suddenly threw away the national flag and Navy flag in his hand, took out the gun on his body, and started to shoot at the police and sailors who were maintaining order while shooting and shouting, "Kill Beitang Wangchuan, slaughter Beihai Port." Gunshots and explosions resounded throughout Beihai Harbor. The entire harbor, the entire city, was in chaos. On the other side of the viewing platform, the giant standing on the shore roared as he grabbed the huge battleship with both hands and charged towards the giant in the water. As the giant in the water was shorter than the giant in the water, the two giants and the battleship, which had been completely twisted, fell into the sea at once, causing huge waves over 100 m high. When the two giants fell into the sea at the same time, the black-robed man beside Beitang Wang Chuan had already disappeared into the sea. In the blink of an eye, the surface of the water surged, and 2 figures flew up from the sea, one in front and one behind. Only a small portion of the people present could see that the person behind the 2 figures was the black-robed person at Beitang Wang Chuan's side. That black-robed person was currently chasing after the other person wearing a golden mask and was rapidly flying away. Quickly protect His Highness the Crown Prince and leave. The guards beside Beitang Wang Chuan were about to go crazy. Those guards all put on their flying armor and escorted Beitang Wang Chuan, directly flying away from here, even abandoning the airship. If they really encountered an assassination, the airship was too big of a target, and its speed was not too fast. Flying in the sky, it was just a target, so it had to be abandoned immediately. Huge waves came from the sea, washing away the cranes and buildings at the edge of the dry dock. On a mountain outside Bay High Port City, the Tang family's elder, Tang Wei, who was wearing a ghost mask and had been lying in ambush for a long time, looked at Bay High Port's chaotic Bay High Port, as well as the guards, and licked his lips. He was just about to cast a spell to summon them. Suddenly, Tang Wei heard a faint sigh from behind him. That sigh was like a sudden clap of thunder. It shocked the Tang family elder so much that all the hair on his body stood on end. He immediately turned around and saw that behind him, an old woman wearing a blue headscarf and holding a flower basket had appeared at some point in time. Elder Tang, does the Tang family's patriarch know that you've joined the Blood Demon Church? That old granny looked at Tang Wei and asked faintly, "Who is she? How does she know my identity? Since when had he been targeted?" At this moment, this question flashed through Tang Wei's mind, but the reality didn't allow him to think too much. Without thinking, Tang Wei rapidly retreated, but that old granny holding the flower basket took out an embroidery needle and stabbed it at Tang Wei. In an instant, Tang Wei felt that the surrounding world was filled with densely packed embroidery needles. The red threads connected to the embroidery needles cut through the surrounding space like a dense net, turning into a wall connected by red threads that blocked his escape route. A name flashed through Elder Tang's mind as he exclaimed in shock, "Ruling Army's Granny Yu." "Me too, faceless ghost." Another voice was heard. At this moment, before Elder Tang could react, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. The tip of a shining blade had pierced through his chest. Elder Tang turned his head with difficulty, only to see that there was no one behind him. However, the blade that had pierced his body seemed to be held by someone. Tang Wei's vital energy, blood, and mind surged towards the blade like a flood that had broken through a dam before being absorbed by the blade. The blade greedily absorbed all the vital energy and blood in Tang Wei's body. In the blink of an eye, it turned a strange pink color. At the tip of the blade, two strange eyes slowly opened and sized up the surrounding world. The blade trembled slightly as the sound of large mouthfuls of flesh and blood was heard. In just a few breaths, Tang Wei turned into a dried corpse and dust that scattered on the ground with a crash. The ghost mask spun twice on the ground, and the items in the interspatial equipment dropped all over the ground. Granny Yu put away her embroidery needle and glanced at the demon blade that had opened its eyes with some apprehension. She took a step back and sighed softly. "Don't use this demon blade too much. If you can't control it, hand it over to the secret vault to be sealed." The strange demon blade disappeared, leaving only a slightly hoarse voice in the void. "Sigh. I couldn't help but let go of this demon blade after using it once. Don't worry, nothing will happen to me before I kill my enemy." Granny Yu didn't say anything else and just disappeared in the blink of an eye. The battle was not over yet. In the direction of the Beihai Harbor's Governor General's mansion, explosions could be heard. The Blood Demon Church had really gone all out this time and mobilized a lot of people. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.